All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guy, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
Episode 239 is in full swing, full motion. We're so happy to be here with you and for you to be here with us. Whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTube, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. And this time as we have yet another fun-filled packed show for you guys. I can't even get the words out. I'm
so fun we can't contain ourselves.
Because there's been some actual movement that has happened on the Chiefs side of things when it comes to this roster. Some good, some things I'm not as excited about. Nevertheless, we're going to get to all that in just a minute. But again, thank you guys so much for being with us. I know there's a lot going on in your guys' weekends. I know there's pumpkin patches going on, a lot of Halloween stuff. This is Trevor and I's favorite time of the year, not just because of football season, because this is our favorite holiday season as well. So 'tis the season to be jolly. I hope you guys are going to have a great Halloween weekend coming up in the next week or so. But we are here to talk sports, guys, and I thank you so much for being with us. I know, like I said, you have a lot of other shows, a lot of great shows out there, a lot of other things to do on your Saturday. Hanging out with us is the absolute best. But since you're hanging out with us, man, you might as well go to our YouTube channel, The Spoken Podcast, hit subscribe, hit the notification button, and most importantly, get into the comments. Let us know what you guys are thinking, because in about an hour or so, we're going to be getting to you guys in a segment we love to call Speak It, where we're going to give you guys the platform, the opportunity to get your questions, your concerns, your takes in, and Trevor and I will be talking about those things. We'll be responding, we'll be reacting to what you guys have to say and what you guys want to talk about, because that is actually why we're here to begin. That's why we started this thing 13 years ago. That's why we started this podcast 4 years ago, to get to you guys. We're going to be handing out some L's. We're going to be giving you guys our Chiefs and Chargers preview, because for the first time in over a week, Trevor and I will be able to break down and predict a game that we're going to give you guys, or what's coming up for you guys on Sunday at 3:30, which, by the way, is the best time slot for the Chiefs to be playing, in case you guys didn't already know that. I love these mid-afternoon games. I think they're incredible. They're great for us on a post-game, too, because when we're done with the post-game, we get to the Sunday night football games, and it's a much better rhythm for us here at the Spoken Podcast. But I hope you guys are ready, man, because there's been some changes to this roster this week. And, Trevor, I think it's time for us, you and I, to get our flowers a little bit here, man. Because the Chiefs told us something this week that I've been waiting to hear from them for all season long, Trevor. They agree with us. They admit that we were right about it.
They listen to the show, man.
They clearly are fans of the show. We can actually confirm that, but I won't get to that right now. But what I will say is they made a move this week that tells me everything I need to know. The Chiefs now understand fully that their wide receiver room is nowhere near what they expected it to be. Now, this is not going to be a wide receiver bashing session. I'm not going to sit here and be crapping on guys like when I call MVS. I'm not going to sit here and be crapping on Sky Moore, who's actually been Skyless this year. I'm not going to talk about Kadarius Toney, who people have been calling Kadarius Phony or Injurious Prony. I've heard a lot of different nicknames. I'm not going to do that today. We're rising above all that, Trevor. What we're going to do is we're going to be stating facts. And the facts is, we have not seen enough from this wide receiver room. The Chiefs have not seen enough from this wide receiver room. So much so that the Chiefs admitted their mistake that they made just a few months ago by letting Mecole Hardman walk. Now, I know there are a lot of you guys that have a lot of differing opinions on what Mecole Hardman is as a player. He's one of the more polarizing Chiefs players in recent memory. A lot of people love him. A lot of people can't stand him. Very few people are in between. It's either you have one strong opinion or you have the other. You guys know where Trevor and I have stood on McCole Hardman for the longest time. We've been big supporters, big fans of him. But I'm not going to speak for Trevor. I'm going to speak for myself, and we're going to get Trevor's thoughts in just a second. But go with me for a second, guys, because the Chiefs decided to make a move that they should have made all along, and keeping McCole Hardman, because of the fact that he was with another team for a long period of time for the first 5-6 weeks of the season. The Chiefs decided to go out there and get their guy back on the New York Jets, not playing a lot. I think it was more of a scheme situation. I don't think it was because of the fact that McCole wasn't healthy, because all the reporters out of New York were stating he is fully healthy. I think it was a scheme thing. I think it was the fact that he just didn't fit the offense. I think the Jets liked the idea of McCole in this offense with Aaron Rodgers, because of the fact Aaron got hurt within 4 freaking plays of the season. They never got to be able to get McCole Hardman going in this offense, and Zach Wilson is just such a limited player. Even guys like Garrett Wilson and Alan Lazard's numbers are absolutely hurting because of it. So it was just a natural selection, if you will, where McCole did not work in this particular offense. And the Chiefs decided, what did I say, Trevor, just a couple of weeks ago? The Chiefs, if they can get McCole Hardman from the Jets, give up a 2025 6th-round pick. What do you know? That is exactly what the Chiefs did. The Jets ended up giving back McCole Hardman in a 7th, so you're essentially swapping 6th-round picks. Yep. The best part about it is the Chiefs are paying McCole next to nothing. I think it's around $500,000 this year. Our guy John Harrison, I'm sure will have the numbers, our statistician that I will be quoting in just a minute. But the Chiefs made themselves a better team this week by going and getting McCole Hardman. And I was saying all offseason they should keep him, especially with the wide receiver room filled with unproven players. 6 games into the season, the Chiefs finally agreed. I'm glad they weren't too proud, Trevor, to do the right thing and bring McCole Hardman back home. But the biggest question people are asking is, what does McCole bring back to the Chiefs? Elite speed? Sure. One of the fastest guys in the league. The ability to actually score in the red zone? Sure. He scored 5 touchdowns in the red zone last season before getting hurt in the middle of the season. The ability to effectively execute the jet sweep? Sure. That's something this offense has absolutely missed since they let him walk. But how about just some old-fashioned production? How about we look at McCole Hardman's career numbers versus, I don't know, Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson combined? So McCole Hardman has played 62 regular season games in his career. He has 152 receptions for 2,094 receiving yards and 18 total touchdowns. Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, and Justin Watson combined have played 110 games, have 1 more reception combined with 153, have over 200 yards less receiving yards than McCole Hardman has by himself with 1,870, and half as many touchdowns with 9. The Chiefs trading for McCole doesn't completely fix the wide receiver room and the problems they have at the wide receiver room. I still believe they should and will make another move at that position over the next 10+ days, and we're going to talk about that in a second. But see, adding McCole Hardman to the wide receiver room adding him to the wide receiver room was a necessity because of the fact that if you look at these numbers, guys, you're looking at a receiver that by himself has outperformed 3 of the most pivotal pieces to the wide receiver room coming into this season. And outside of Rashee Rice, McCole Hardman brings something that 6 of the 7 receivers don't bring, and it is production. And production is what they've lacked all season long. And when it even comes to Rashee Rice, a guy that Trevor and I are very big on, and we all have loved and acknowledged that he's been incredible this season to this point as a rookie receiver. He's only 6 games into his NFL career and is on pace for 68 receptions, 697 yards, and roughly 6 touchdowns. Those are awesome numbers for a rookie wide receiver in Andy Reid's offense. But that's production you get from a high-end wide receiver, too, on a normal basis, which we can live with here in Kansas City. So with McCole added to the equation, the Chiefs now have 2 wide receivers that have proven they can produce, but it's not nearly enough in my eyes because, again, McCole is definitely a positive, but even with him in place, the Chiefs still had to go and get Juju and MVS back when MVS was still a guy able to contribute as a decent wide receiver 3, not the guy who's averaging 6 yards per game over the last 3 weeks. We will know who and will be available for the to be traded for the next 10 days. So we're going to get to that in a second. We're going to talk about these things in a second, Trevor. But looking at this 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 addition, you're getting a guy that was so familiar with this offense who can literally step in and will step in this week against the Chargers. We know that he can play at a high level in this offense. We know that people, although they want to criticize him for missing a route or not running down a ball or things like that, mistakes that are made by every single receiver in this league, they think that he's not going to come in here and be an actual net positive. But Trevor, I beg the differ, and I think the reason why the Chiefs did this, it was so symbolic. They knew they had to go and not only add to this room, but they had to go and get a guy that could play immediately because they could not afford to have this wide receiver room continue to play their playing if they want to continue to go for that 1 seed in the AFC and continue to dominate the AFC West. I think the Chiefs can do both. I think they can still win the AFC West. I think they can still get the number 1 seed in the AFC, but it's so much more tougher this year, as I predicted it would. It's so much tougher on Patrick Mahomes. It's so much tougher on Travis Kelce. And quite frankly, it's so much tougher on Andy Reid to have to scheme these guys open 30, 40 times a game. You have MVS, who's playing the most snaps among all the wide receivers and is second to last in the wide receiver room in receptions, only leading Justin Ross. And it's not by that much, by the way. I think he's got, 7, 8 receptions total, and Justin Ross has 6, if I'm not mistaken. So there's a real discrepancy they have in the wide receiver room. They had to go and get a guy that is not only talented, not only is somebody that can have a game-breaking play in both offense and in special teams that they can trust with, but it's also because of the fact they needed somebody who could step in and step out immediately. Because if they were to go get a KJ Osborne, somebody like that, they would have to let them work 3, 4, 5 weeks into this system to really understand it. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 can walk right in and become an effective piece, an effective asset, both in the jet sweeps, stretching the field, and punt returns. So this was an ideal move. I don't think they should have ever let him walk in the beginning. I think they should have absolutely kept him, paid him the $4 or $5 million the Jets did. He was worth every penny of that here in Kansas City, because some guys, your value is not equal across the board. Some guys, you have to be able to be in the right system, the right place, the right situation. That's McColl here in Kansas City. In New York, it did not work, especially with Zach Wilson as the quarterback. I think this is the perfect situation for both sides. 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺's coming in here with no pressure because now he's coming in here as one of the guys that isn't making a ton of money, didn't have a big season with the Jets, coming back to Kansas City. There's a great opportunity for 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 to get that big contract he was looking for this last offseason. Unfortunately, he suffered his first real injury, and we heard more details about that. That was gruesome, about how he didn't have a feeling in his legs for like 4 or 5 days. Still goes out there and plays against the Bengals, gets that big catch that sets up the Chiefs on a scoring drive later in that game. Last play he had as a Chief. Comes back here now with a redemption story. Like I said, he could come in here, play some big football, play some meaningful football in the playoffs once again, and maybe get himself that nice contract, or maybe even an extension with the Chiefs, because he's only 25 years old. A lot to chew on, Trevor. Overall, I think this is an incredible move. Yes, the Chiefs should have drafted DK Metcalf before 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺. We've all addressed these things. We know the obvious, the common sense things. We can't do anything about that now. What they can do is move forward with 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 and utilize him to the best of his strengths and abilities. I like this move overall. I think it's a no-brainer, like I said. Trevor, what are your thoughts on it?
I mean, of course, it's great to get a familiar face back in the building, a guy that my biggest thing with this is McColl wasn't the biggest needle mover, if we're being honest, for the offense that he was a part of, because he wasn't dependent on to be that guy. So I still don't think he's going to be dependent on to be like a wide receiver 2 or a main target for this offense. He's still going to be that, and it's not an offensive thing, but he's still going to be that gadgety kind of guy. That guy is we're going to create space and have plays designed for him. But he is a guy that has a nose for the end zone, and that's what we're lacking right now. We're having a tough time scoring touchdowns. He's a guy that can take those jet sweeps and those those quick dig routes or those quick slants, and he knows how to get into the end zone. And he's done it against very tough defenses in his time here. So a guy that's hungry and very motivated to play some football because he hasn't played any really this year. Left home and now he's back. The prodigal son kind of vibe going on right now. I think this move was mostly for special teams, though, if I'm being honest. Less than it is for to give the wide receiver room some kick. I think this is mostly for special teams and to give us a true, legitimate punt and kick returner that we know we can use without real much concern, because we know that's one of his best skill sets. We've seen it in some of the biggest moments, and even the postseason when we were down against the Texans. That kick return, that punt return was a major momentum swing in that game. So he's a guy that has big playability. which we need right now. We got MVS out there just, basically just playing decoy. Literally, that's what he's doing. So a guy with the ball in his hands that's deadly, and it has boost, has juice when he runs the ball. As much as I love Kadarius Toney, and I still believe in Kadarius Toney on these jet sweeps and these design plays, he hasn't seemed very fast to me. I don't know if he's just still not 100% healthy, but he hasn't. When he's caught the ball, he hasn't looked upfield and just took off. Rashee Rice obviously looks incredible; his acceleration's great, but this McColl move just is a no-brainer to me, man. And I think we both agree on that. I think this was a move that just made too much sense. He was just rotting away on the Jets roster, and it made a lot of sense to bring a guy like that back here that knows the system, that can immediately return punts and kicks. Smart guy, has a good rapport with Pat. Obviously, they're boys, and him coming into this locker room, maybe with more opportunity. Who knows what we can do with him if he gets more opportunity? He's not behind the Jujus. He's really only behind at this moment Travis Kelce, because this wide receiver room is wide open. For as far as what production is available. Sky Moore just hasn't produced. I think this is more indicative on his role, if I'm being honest with you, less than Kadarius Toney. Kadarius Toney, I think his role stands alone. I know people immediately go to the Kadarius Toney thing because they have a similar skill set as far as him and McCole Hardman. But Sky Moore is not getting targeted at all or looked at like in the past game at all, and he's on the field almost a whole game every week. So that's damning in my personal opinion. Kadarius Toney, whenever he's on the field, he's getting targeted almost every single time he's on the field or getting a touch. So his production will come. I do believe that. And I think this McColl move only helps that because now we have two guys that have a similar skill set that could do similar things, and put them on the field at the same time. That can cause, issues for defenses. So, welcome back, McColl. First of all, it's good to have you back. Good to have a guy that we know we can trust to make plays. A guy that we know loves this team and has fought tooth and nail through injuries to have success on this team. He's coming through the doors with respect from not only his teammates but the coaching staff. Yeah. So that's a guy you definitely want. It feels like how Aaron Rodgers always has Randall Cobb everywhere he goes. A guy like that he can trust, that he knows is gonna put it all out there every week. And that's McColl. So this is definitely a net positive for this offense, man, for sure.
What I'll say is this, because I understand what you're saying about this is more of a special teams move, and I do agree that ultimately his ultimate value will be the ability to make game-changing plays at the punt return position, because we saw him do it in the postseason. We've seen him do it in the regular season. He's been able to change the trajectory of a game through the punt return.
Well, and the fact that we cut the guy that was doing it before him, now he's immediately sliding into that role. He's going to be doing it.
He's clearly getting that role. What I'm saying, though, is everybody's theory was, or everyone's question is, who does this end up falling on? As far as they had to bring McColl in because this guy wasn't doing his job. For me, I think it's a collective. Because, like I said, outside of Rashee Rice, there is not a single reliable.
That's why I said he's coming in and basically only behind Travis Kelce. So
it's not Kadarius Toney is going to get less snaps. No, I don't believe that.
Yeah, Kadarius.
But what I hope everybody's prepared for is the fact that McCole Hardman, whether Justin Watson ends up on the IR or not, is going to play meaningful snaps for this offense, guys. In his rookie season of 2019, McCole Hardman averaged 29 offensive snaps per game. That's about half the snaps per game, right? As a rookie. Mm-hmm. That was with Tyreek Hill and Sammy Watkins at wide receiver. That was with Demarcus Robinson, who Patrick Mahomes liked a lot. That was with other guys, other pieces they had at wide receiver. He was a rookie. Last season, McCole Hardman averaged 38 offensive snaps per game. That was with Juju and MVS as the new acquisitions at wide receiver, as the veteran guys to kind of change or make up, rather, for Tyreek Hill's absence. So whether you look, no matter which skill or how many awesome guys were around, McColl was still getting plenty of PT in this offense. You look at this room now, this is by far the worst wide receiver room that Patrick Mahomes has ever had. There's no question McColl's going to get 35 to 45, maybe even 50 snaps a game. Because, again, he knows the system inside and out. He's been in it his whole career outside of a few games this year with the Jets. So he's going to walk right in and know what he's doing. Better than some of these guys who've been on the team all season. And everybody talks about, well, why do you need to add another guy that's under 6 foot tall and weighs 180 pounds? We have a bunch of guys like that in Kansas City. Yes, but how many of them have been effective players? It doesn't matter if he has the same build as them or not. You can have 15 7-footers on an NBA team. How many of them are good at rebounding? How many of them are good at blocking shots? How many of them have a post game? Just because they're tall doesn't mean they're good players. So just because you have a certain style of player wide receiver doesn't mean those guys fit the scheme or are effective in the scheme or produce. We know that McCole can and will produce in this offense. We know that he can fill that role as a jet sweep, gimmicky guy, but gimmicks work in this offense. We know that Andy Reid loves to utilize the gimmicks, especially in the red zone. And when you have guys that fit the mold, it will work. And it changes it. It puts lipstick on that pig. Because when we've seen Kadarius Toney try to fill that role, it is so slow. And not that Kadarius is slow. He's just a tick slower. He just has that one less hitch to his game. He isn't able to plant that foot and move forward.
Yeah.
That's McColl's skill set. And that's why he belonged in this offense all along. And I'm so glad the Chiefs decided, we got to go get our guy back. Because again, Trevor, I'm with you 100%. He is not a needle mover to the point where, they're fixed.
Yeah.
Wide receiver room's fixed. No. They still got to make another move. We're going to talk about that in like 3 minutes. But I had to bring this up. I had to kick this show off by stating this was one of the guys that the Chiefs needed to keep all along. And them doing this tells me they knew that. They realized it. And I'm so happy because there's a lot of front offices, man, that will be stubborn as hell about moves like this and won't make that move. And you're sitting there going, guys, he's literally sitting there waiting for you to go get him. Why didn't you go get him? We've said that about the Chiefs before. Oh, my God, they got Isaiah Simmons for a 7th-round pick?
Yeah.
You could easily have made that move. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where you've seen moves like this before. This was common sense. He's going to come in. He's going to be effective both in special teams and in the passing game and in the jet sweeps. Just be prepared, guys. And, again, if San Francisco is the team the Chiefs may have to face in the Super Bowl again, you would rather have McCole Hardman on your team than not because he's the only guy in the last 39 games now since I last posted that stat. And then in the Niners' last 39 games, only one guy scored 3 touchdowns on him. It's McCole Hardman. He did it last season against him the regular season. He was going to have a career year last year. Just got that horrible abdomen injury. Doesn't have that abdomen injury. I don't think the Chiefs let him walk, man. But because of the fact they got Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore, and they were expecting these guys to elevate this offense and add to their ability. I think they felt comfortable letting McCole walk. But 6 weeks in, they're like, yeah, these guys are not doing it, man. We got to go get our guy back, and that's what they did. But Trev, I do want to bring this up, man, because within the next 10 days or so, the Chiefs are going to have to make a move here. I've listened to people that are well above my pay grade, man, that have sources beyond our sources, and every one of them are saying the Chiefs are going to have to still make another move, that McCole is just not enough because you're only getting production out of your rookie wide receiver and McCole Hardman, who are neither one of those wide receiver ones right now. Maybe Rashee Rice turns into a wide receiver one. He's not that yet. And you have an aging tight end who's still great, but it's not fair to put it all on him still. You have to add another veteran, like we were saying all damn offseason.
Yeah.
So we don't know the names yet, Trevor. It's hard to pinpoint who the Chiefs can realistically get in a trade in the next week or so. But we do know that they have to be in the mix. Brett Veach could not sit on his hands when we know that the Chiefs not only have the picks to make a trade over these next 2 years. The Chiefs have 8 picks this next year. That's not even including the comp picks they're going to get. So they're going to have double-digit picks for a third consecutive season. But we know that there are teams out there that are not contenders with veteran receivers, and I say receivers, not just wide receivers. I'm talking about tight ends as well, with decent contracts that need picks to build their teams for 2024 and 2025. And again, Trevor and I are going to give you our list probably this next week because that's, the deadline will be after that episode 240 next week. We will give you the options that we think the Chiefs should have in getting a trade in next week's show, but because we'll have a clearer picture at that time. But I want to give you a couple guys right now, Trevor, that are at the top of my list. And I think it's just worth discussing before we get into this Chiefs Chargers preview, because I think these are guys that are not only on the top of my list, but I think will be realistic options by the time we have episode 240 in 7 days from now. I'm talking about Kyle Pitts, and I'm talking about DeAndre Hopkins. Now, I know there's people out there who are laughing right now because they know that I have been talking ad nauseum about DeAndre Hopkins this offseason. But you guys got to hear me out on this when it comes to the realistic ability of this happening. So let's start with Pitts, though, real quick, Trevor. He just turned 23 years of age this month in October. Pitts is maybe the most talented tight end we have ever seen. And Trevor, you and I talked about this last week about how there's not a more talented tight end right now in this league. And if this is the best tight end core we've seen in the league as far as athletic ability is concerned, he tops the list in my eyes. Unfortunately, though, The Falcons still don't know how to implement him in the offense on a consistent basis. He had a good week last week, but I don't know if that was them just showcasing, like you said.
2 back-to-back good weeks.
Yeah, you said, though, that maybe they're showcasing him a little bit. Maybe they're trying to get a trade out of it, and that might make a lot of sense.
They run a lot of 2 tight end sets, though.
Right. 12, 13 personnel is another thing they like to do. The Chiefs are historically, though, great at identifying, not only identifying the tight end position in the draft, they're historically great at identifying the tight end position on the field. Kyle Pitts next to Travis Kelce would be an absolute cheat code. And Noah Gray would be your tight end 3, a guy that could easily get 500-600 yards this season. But this move would also mean just as much for he and the team's future as it would the present because of his youth, rookie contract, and the fact that Travis Kelce is getting older. He could and would be a legitimate successor to the 34-year-old Travis Kelce and carry on the legacy of the great tight end play here in Kansas City. We know it's from Tony Gonzalez, Travis Kelce, and they can move to Kyle Pitts. This story would be incredible. What would it cost to trade for him? Well, he was the 4th overall pick in the 2021 draft and is obviously still on his rookie deal, so whoever would trade for Pitts would have to be willing to part ways with an early pick and be willing to pay him long term. The Chiefs have the draft pick capital and would have the money to pay him after the 2023 season in which he would be eligible for that extension. And remember, guys, you're not paying tight ends like you pay wide receivers, so you're not worried about having to pay him $30 million a year. My guess would be a 2nd and a 4th round pick to get Pitts, but if the Chiefs were planning on adding a receiving option with their 1st round pick in the 2024 draft, which will be in the 30s, by the way, I would much rather use that pick on Pitts than an unproven commodity out of the draft. And it's no offense to Veach, Trev, but I trust his trade and free agent signing ability to land skill position players far more than I trust his ability to draft them. I posted my list this week of top 10 free agents he signed, top 10 guys that he got in the draft. If you look at the skill positions, man, it's night and day different. He's been able to go and get guys that can come in here and step in and do their job, which is why I was much more confident with him getting DeAndre Hopkins or Kyle Pitts than I would be them going and getting, because you look at it, like Rashee Rice looks like he could have some promise. So maybe he will be the outlier. But if you look at Sky Moore, if you look at Cornell Powell, Isaiah Pacheco right now is the best skill position player Brett Veach has ever drafted. And after that, it's McCole Hardman. And then after that, it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Like, Rashee Rice is climbing that ladder, but those are the best guys. Quickly. He'll probably be at the top of that list.
Yeah.
My point, though, is that at this point, Brett Veach hasn't exactly done great at drafting skill position. He's incredible at defensive backs. He's incredible at getting edge. He's incredible at getting these other positions. He rebuilt the offensive line through free agency and trades. That's where I think his bread and butter ultimately is. But I think this is a move that he can actually make, and I would much rather him go and get a what is than trust a what if through the draft, and we'll see how that goes. But
I just want to say, in Brett Veach's defense, he's also a historically young GM, a guy who's going to have a lot more time to build a resume of picks. So I just want to kind of give him that.
Absolutely.
It's tough to be a younger GM, with big shoes to fill, after, John Dorsey and working with Coach Reed and the expectations that come with it. So I think he overall has done an incredible job, but also, finding offensive talent has been a struggle for him.
And also I'll give him this as well. When you have to draft 30, 31, and 32 every single first-round pick, every single first round.
Yeah, you're not getting the Justin Jeffersons of the world.
Yeah, or sometimes he's not even had a first-round pick.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because in 2018, they didn't have a first-round pick. 2020 or 2021, I don't believe they had a first, or did they? Yeah, I forget. No, they traded for.
And then recovering overall with his first pick being Braylon Speaks, and then us having our doubts even on the defensive side, and then all of a sudden now he's building one of the best defenses we've ever seen in Chiefs Kingdom.
Right.
You know what I mean? So recovering from that, I think that the Rashee Rice signing could be the recovering of the offensive side of things for him as well. So
yeah. Now I will say this about the Falcons, Trevor. They do have two winnable games coming up versus the Bucs and Titans, but they are both road games, and the Falcons are 0-2 on the road so far. So if they go 0-2 in these next two games, we're looking at a team that's going to be 3-5 halfway through the season, could be looking on to next season rebuilding with picks. So if the Chiefs were to come and say, hey, listen, we'll give you a second and a fourth, or if you really want the 32nd overall pick, you guys can have it, and we'll get Kyle Pitts on a rookie deal. I think that's about as ideal as it gets. But moving Trevor to DeAndre Hopkins, look, guys, I know a lot of people have been saying, oh, no, Lance, he's long in the tooth. I remember people were telling me, guys, Lance, he's too old. You don't want to go and get a guy like that. He's not going to be reliable. I don't know if you guys knew this. DeAndre Hopkins is on pace to finish the 2023 season with 85 receptions and 1,071 yards despite playing in the 27th ranked passing offense. In other words, he would finish first in those categories on pace for the Chiefs this season. That's including Travis Kelce, well, at least in yards. So I think it's been proven now through 6 games that D-Hop has still got what it takes to be a wide receiver in an offense. So you're damn right I still want D-Hop, and you're damn right the Chiefs should give up a mid to late round pick for him, and that's according to PFF. I saw their trade scenario where they say they gave up a 3rd round pick. The Chiefs give up a 3rd round pick to get DeAndre Hopkins. Yes, I'm making that trade. You have 2 years of control on DeAndre Hopkins. And via our statistician and capologist that I mentioned earlier, John Harrison, he put this on one of our posts earlier this week. Hopkins' cap hit this year is $3.6 million and $15.9 million in 2024 with a dead cap of $7.8 if cut. Chiefs have 8 picks in next year's draft. They'll get 2 more Comp 5 picks for free agency. Titans only have 6 picks, and 3 of them are 7th rounders. In other words, the Titans are not contenders. We know this, Trevor. They're not a good enough team to win anything meaningful this year. They're even talking about trading Derrick Henry right now. I've been seeing rumors about that. They need picks. Like I said, half of their draft picks are in the last round of the draft. You give them a 3rd or a 4th round pick for DeAndre Hopkins, a veteran receiver they brought in to be a difference maker.
I'm not giving up a 3rd.
But okay, but you think about this. You're giving up a third. If you give up a 3rd round pick for a guy that can help you elevate as the by far best team in the AFC. So look at it like this. Look at the Dolphins right now. Let's say they get Jalen Ramsey back and he plays to the level that we expect him to play. Vic Fangio starts to get his defense rolling. Bills get a little healthier. The Bengals continue to roll the way they're doing. All of a sudden, the AFC. We just watched the Jaguars win another game. They're 5-2. All of a sudden, the AFC playoff picture looks a little tighter. The Chiefs have the best defense, in my opinion, in the AFC.
That's why I'm not giving up a 3rd.
Okay, but think about this. If you have 8 picks in next year's draft, you have struggles at wide receiver the way that you do, you can go and get an absolute top 10 wide receiver, no questions asked, for a mid-round pick to set you over the edge of all these other teams. With the defense already in place, you give Patrick Mahomes that guy, helps you. Does that not exclusive or significantly help the Chiefs win a Super Bowl this year? I would be willing to give up a mid-round pick to solidify that chance because the Chiefs are trying to win championships right now. I love, and I was going to hold this. I was going to hold off this take until the very end. But Trevor, I'm all for compiling picks for the future. But the Chiefs not only have the youngest defense in the league, one of the youngest rosters in the league, but are also built to win Super Bowls. Now they have the most unique situation in the league. You have a quarterback, the best quarterback in the league in his prime. You have the youngest and 3rd cheapest defense in the league, and this one, I think it's 2nd or 3rd youngest roster in the league, but you're the favorites to win the Super Bowl. Like, that's a very unique situation to have. So the Chiefs can afford to be aggressive with their picks and give those up for veterans while you still have a 1st, a 2nd, several other mid-round picks. We know Brett Veach kills it in. If I can give up one of those picks to get a DeAndre Hopkins in this offense, I don't understand how that's a price too much to ask. Because then you have to ask the question, what are you not willing to give up to get him? Because he's an absolute difference maker.
I mean, I don't think you'd have to give up a 3rd, though. I don't think you'd have to give up a 3rd to get DeAndre Hopkins at this point of his career. I just don't think you. I don't. It's a bad situation for him over there in Tennessee. I think Tennessee understands that their season is likely over here soon. If they drop a couple more straight losses, I mean Tannehill's out basically for the foreseeable future with that ankle issue or whatever. So I think when things get tight and teams start fire selling right before the trade deadline, and the trade deadline is on Halloween, I believe, so coming up soon. If they know that if they lose this week and they lose, or they're feeling bad about things, they have a couple more injuries or whatever, and that team's done this year, I think they have to kind of sell them a little cheaper than they probably want to. And if we did offer something out, it would be no more than a 4th. For me, I'm not trading anything in the first 3 rounds for an aging receiver. I understand he's productive. I'm not saying he wouldn't help. He would absolutely be a huge addition to this offense. I also do believe that the Chiefs think they have DeAndre Hopkins 2.0 and Rashee Rice because they do play a similar type of they have a similar type of skill set.
But you and I both agreed though that the best guy to help Rashee Rice turn into that DeAndre Hopkins 2.0 would be none other than DeAndre Hopkins.
It's not that I don't want D-Hop. I don't think I'm willing to give up a day 3 pick.
What I will say to this about it'd be day 2, but the third round pick. Yeah. What I would say to this though is look at Brett Veach's drafting, because we talk about how good he is at drafting in the mid to late rounds, right?
Yep.
Well, in the 3rd round, he's actually not been very good at all. So 3rd round picks from Brett Veach from 2018 to present. He had 2 in 2018. He got Derek Noddy and Dorian O'Daniel. 2019, Colin Saunders. 2020, Lucas Niang. Didn't have one in 2021. In 2022, Leo Chenal. We both like him a lot. We'll see what happens. And then 2023, Wanye Morris.
Yeah, we haven't seen. I mean, that's.
But I'm saying, like, of those players right now, who would you not trade of those players to get DeAndre Hopkins?
I get that, but I mean that doesn't correlate to just because that was the talent that was on the board at the time of that round. What I'm saying, those guys didn't pan out, yes, but that doesn't mean that. I mean, a lot of teams, if you look over track records of a lot of GMs, they probably whiffed in 3rd and 4th rounds too. I mean, I'd rather, to me, keeping a 3rd round pick is more of a dynastic move and keeping things, having the chance of finding a guy in the 3rd round that is a massive contributor than trading that away for an aging receiver that would definitely help, but I mean, like I said, I don't think we'd have to give up a 3rd to go get him, though.
I'm just playing off the scenario if they had to, because of the fact that is the rumor right now that that's what the Titans are looking for.
Yeah, I personally am not giving that up.
Okay, but what I'm saying though is that you trust that the 3rd round pick would be more of a vital piece to this team than DeAndre Hopkins?
No, that to me is what we're doing here is what we're doing here is not giving those assets away. We're building something to stay afloat as a dynasty. We're building something to keep the runs alive, keep this team youthful, and not getting older at certain positions. I just don't think the DeAndre Hopkins thing is going to happen at this point. I really don't. I personally believe there is no other move that is coming. That's my opinion. I know you've said that there's been other people that know more than us that have said, and there's whispers possibly that another move is to come. I think McColl was it. I think that was the only wide receiver move addition, at least for this season. I think that's it, man. For me personally, I don't see. I honestly would like to go more youthful. I would like to see maybe if somebody opens up over in Washington, maybe like a Curtis Samuel or somebody like a Jahan Dotson who's not even being used at all this year, which is frustrating. An extremely talented guy, 1st round pick. In the connections with Bieniemy, maybe a McLaurin. If we'd have to give up more for that guy, but that's a guy that we can have for the future. I would like to go more that route than giving up a 3rd for a guy who's not even going to be here next year.
Well, I think this is where we do differ though, because of the fact that I'm looking at going and getting a guy that can be an absolute difference maker, even with his age in consideration. He's 31 now. I don't think that's old, but
he won't be here next season. I would like to have a guy.
Yeah, he will be because he's under contract. So the Chiefs trade for him. They can either trade him to another team or he'd be under contract. Yeah. But it's not that he's making an exorbitant amount of money because, like I said, it's only a $15.9 million cap hit. That's not a lot considering the production he brings to the table. And so, because you look at MVS. MVS has a dead cap of $11 million this year, and he's doing absolutely nothing for this team.
Yeah.
So just for a few million more, you're getting a guy that can get you 1,000+ yards and probably 6-7 touchdowns. And I know, like, you're talking about the youthful side of things, but see, that's the thing. The Chiefs have only been going the youth movement on things, and that's not working. So Jahan Dotson's got potential. Terry McLaurin looks like he could become a really good guy in a really good offense, but he's never really taken that next step. He's been a solid 65 to 75 reception, 1,000 yards, six touchdown guy. Good player. But when it comes to a difference maker, has Terry McLaurin ever really been a difference maker? Jahan Dotson's so young, we have really no idea what he is. I agree, it is frustrating to not see him get utilized in this offense, in that Commander's offense.
I think Terry McLaurin absolutely would be a difference maker.
He could be, yes. But
he has been for shitty offenses when it was a run-heavy offense over there the last couple of years in Washington with Taylor Heinicke and whoever else they were dishing out there at quarterback. I mean, he's absolutely a guy that is a difference maker, and he has an elite upside.
I mean, like I said, I'm looking at. I want a guy that I know can come into this offense right now and absolutely take them to the next level. Could Terry McLaurin do it? Yes. I have more faith in DeAndre Hopkins as that guy. I have more faith in a Kyle Pitts because I think they fit the scheme better. I think they're more of what the Chiefs would be looking for. More experience to their games. They're not more experience on Kyle Pitts' side, but he's more athletically gifted. Plays a tight end position the Chiefs love to utilize in their offense. That's what these two guys are at the top of my list. But things can change, Trevor, within a week.
Well, and strangely enough, I feel like this offense is lacking speed, and that is not. DeAndre Hopkins he's never been a fast guy like that. So he's a guy that's pretty good at crafty at creating space and is more of like a go get it kind of 50-50 ball kind of guy with great hands and get up and get it in the tough contested catches. He's never been a speedster though. That's never been his role. I think a guy like McLaurin, a guy even like Kyle Pitts, who's a fast tight end, you can utilize him in mismatches all over the place with Kelsey. I would like Kyle Pitts honestly at this point. Now that I've had time to kind of evaluate this offense, what we're missing. Either Kyle Pitts another tight end on opposite Kelsey that can have mismatches with linebackers and safeties all day and just absolutely eat people alive that way, or adding another speedster guy that can beat people downfield. Like McLaurin, guys like that are very fast.
I have to disagree though, because of the fact that I think the Chiefs have had they have now, especially with 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 to the mix, they have plenty of speed.
That's why I feel like they brought McCole back, because they've been lacking some speed and
MVS
burst.
is one of the fastest dudes in the league.
Yeah,
Darius Toney's one of the fastest dudes in the league.
MVS is fast, but he's not quick. Yeah, and that's why they were going to him a lot. Now that we don't have him right now, I think that's what makes sense the most, is to get a guy like McCole, get a guy that can catch and has that burst ability, because Kadarius Toney has not looked quick enough. Sky Moore has not looked quick enough, and we all know Kelsey's missing a step at this point. He's slowing down a little bit. MVS is out there running straight lines, bro. He's fast, but he's not quick.
Wouldn't you agree, though, that the Chiefs are missing more of a reliable receiver that gets open and catches balls than a guy that's fast? This team's always been
built on speed, though. This offense, especially since the vacancy of Tyreek Hill, I think Rashee Rice is now that Juju role. I think he's really moving as far as moving the sticks and getting a guy that's go to like a 3rd and long, or he's obviously been that guy when he's on the field. And Patrick Mahomes has looked his way when we're on 3rd and longs, and he's converting first downs. So I think he's obviously he's way more upside than just like a slot guy, isn't it? But he has played in the slot. He's played a lot of big plays up the middle. So. He's the guy that's the only guy in this offense that's really shown any kind of a true acceleration and top-notch speed, which is good. But I think this offense definitely moves and works off of speed. That's why we do so much pre-snap motions and jet sweeps and things like that, because we get the ball in the speedster's hands. These guys, Kadarius just hasn't looked fast enough. Sky Moore isn't breaking free quick enough on his routes, and I just don't think the moving to a guy like Hopkins is something that's going to move the needle as far as what I think this offense really, really wants to do, in my opinion. I would love to take him. I'm not giving up a 3rd round pick for him, though. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm hung up on. I'm not doing that.
All right, well, you guys let us know what you guys think. I mean, would you guys rather have a 3rd round pick and get a Wanya Morris or somebody like that in the 3rd, or would you rather have a wide receiver that I think is on the Hall of Fame trajectory, that I think is going to absolutely change the whole offense? Because we talk about how 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 being brought in is going to change things for the speed side of things, production side of things, red zone side of things, special team side of things. I think adding a wide receiver like DeAndre Hopkins is going to absolutely change things. I think Kyle Pitts would absolutely change things. I think these guys would make a massive difference, more than a 3rd round pick, and it's been proven in Brett Veach's draft pick history. I think if they can give up a 4th or 5th for DeAndre, obviously that's something that's much more ideal. But I think because of the fact that 3rd round picks so far of the last 5-6 drafts have not turned into anything, I think Leo Chenal is by far the best 3rd round pick the Chiefs have had to this point. He looks like he could be a stud. That could be the exception. But I just think that when the draft picks, to me, maybe I'm somebody that looks at draft picks a little bit differently than others. I think that I want more sure things, because, like I said, this wide receiver room this offseason was based and built upon potential and what ifs. That was my biggest problem. Now you're seeing the recipe, you're seeing the results of that. This offense is struggling to score points, especially in the red zone, and it's clunky and it's frustrating, things of that. The Chiefs have got to get better at that position. I think there's only a couple ways of actually doing that. And again, it's not even wide receiver exclusive. They can go get another tight end, like I said, like a Kyle Pitts, and I think these are realistic options. We'll see, though, if that actually happens. Let us know in the chat, guys, what you guys think is going to happen in this. If the Chiefs are going to make another move, I think Trevor said that he doesn't think it's going to happen, that another move isn't going to happen. I think they still very well could, because I don't think because if 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺 would have cost the Chiefs like $5-6 million, I would agree there's not going to be another
move. Do you think we're bringing Frank Clark back?
The rumors are weird, man, because he is in town.
Yeah.
He said it himself.
Yeah. Well, he's here for a physical. Yeah.
The physical never happened. Dude, Carrington Harrison said he knows he's getting his physical. That never happened. So I don't know what sources Carrington Harrison had, but they were not true. They were false. So I'm waiting for Adam Schefter. I'm waiting for Ian Rappaport or Tom Pelissero or James Palmer, any of these guys to give us any information. All we do know is that he's been in town, at least has been in town. Is he still in town? That's the question. I do think he's going to be a Chief if his football career continues, which I am expecting. We can talk about what we're expecting from him when he comes to the Chiefs, but I do think it's going to happen.
Yeah.
What the holdup is, what's going on. Maybe he's dealing with a family situation, getting his kids here to Kansas City from Denver. I don't know. There's be a lot of things going on that we don't know about. All I do know is it's a foregone conclusion. He will be here in Kansas City. And just when is that going to happen?
Yeah.
Do you agree with that?
Bro, yeah. I want him back, dude. I was a big fan of him the whole time. Like, I know he had his ups and downs here, but I would love to have him in this locker room, bro. I mean, obviously he's a soundbite waiting to happen, so I love that as well. That's always great. But, I mean, just having a guy that's most likely going to go to the Ring of Honor. And, I mean, how cool would it be to bring him back and let him set that record in the postseason too, man? And then I would put him on ice for the postseason. Like, I would bring him back and just put him on ice for the postseason. Having a guy like that you know can get after it and flip that switch when the playoff time comes, or even like the later weeks of the season when we really need a guy to go out there and get pressure. And boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see what this defense looks like with the men who come in soon. So.
I will say this, man. When I first heard about it, I was like, man, they don't need him, and they don't.
It's not sexy anymore.
It's more like you said. It's more of a cool storyline. It's not going to cost the Chiefs any money because the Broncos did the buyout with him.
He fleeced them, dude.
And maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's looking to get a little bit more money from the Chiefs. The Chiefs like, bro, we're not giving you any more money than like
I think he just wants to compete for another championship.
And maybe that is, and I hope that's the case because I honestly would like. I'm with you. I'd love to see him come here and break the record. If you guys don't know, as it stands right now, if I'm not mistaken, Trevor, Willie McGinnis has the record with 16 postseason sacks. Frank Clark right now has 12.5. So he would need 3.5 to tie. He needs 3 sacks to break it. I'm sorry, he has 13.5. I apologize. He has 13.5 sacks.
He could definitely do that.
Yes, he needs 3 more to break it. I do believe that could happen. And Trevor, maybe you're right. I do think, though, as the season progresses, they need to start kind of getting him in so he can get some rhythm, knock some rust off. But, yeah, I think if Frank Clark was to sign today with the Chiefs, you would not see him against the Chargers. I do think you'd see him against the Broncos next week, but in a very limited role because Omenihu is going to be the guy that takes that role over, which was supposed to be the case from the beginning, which is why they signed Charles Omenihu, why they let Frank Clark walk, because Omenihu is the younger, more athletically gifted player. I am very excited about this, which is going to segue me into our Chiefs-Chargers preview because of the fact that the Chargers got absolutely boned on this schedule, dude. I don't know if you've seen the way this whole thing worked out.
The whole controversy about how the league's working with the Chiefs.
Well, you know what? Anybody that believes that, just hold on. Because after the bye week, the Chiefs have the least amount of rest amongst all NFL teams.
Plus, I mean, even if we catch a little break and a mini bye or whatever, I mean, that's what championship teams deserve.
Right.
We just won a fucking Super Bowl, bro.
So the Chargers, in case you don't know, the Chargers had to play late last week, Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. They're now on a short week against a Chiefs team that have had 10 days off. Chiefs are at home. They've been at home for the last 2+ weeks because their last game was against the Broncos at Arrowhead. So the Chiefs have been home, relaxed, resting, hanging out, listening to Taylor Swift albums, all kinds of cool stuff. The Chargers are coming here on a short week, after a frustrating loss against the Cowboys, a game that the Chargers could have absolutely won on several different occasions. Unfortunately, Justin Herbert just could not get on the same page with his receivers, kept air milling passes. Keenan Allen was wide open down the sideline, absolutely just overthrew him. Justin Herbert was not good against the Cowboys, and the Cowboys' defense wasn't good until the fourth quarter when Micah Parsons finally put that bad boy on ice. So Justin Herbert has only Justin Herbert to blame. Brandon Staley was bad again in his decision-making he was doing, going on fourth downs, things of that nature. Yep. Just this team looks like the team I was expecting them to be. Mid. And that is exactly what the Chargers are. And they're injured again. They're all hobbled. I don't know if you guys have seen their injury report. Bunch of limited participants on Thursday and Friday on their injury report. I am expecting Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack to play in this game. I am expecting Derwin James to play in this game, but they are banged up on a short week. Losing a frustrating game like that to a Cowboys team that banged them up. Now they're coming into Kansas City against a rested Chiefs team. Guys, the line right now is 5.5. Chiefs are favorite. Over-under is 48. The narrative I've been hearing all week long, Trevor, that I have to address, because to the point, the Chiefs and Chargers, especially in the Mahomes era, they've been very close games. I think it's the last 7 or 8 games have been one-possession games between these two teams as to who wins. Now, I will say there's the one game, because Patrick Mahomes is 7-2, if I'm not mistaken, against the Chargers in his career.
Yep.
They have that one game where the Chiefs got blown out week 17. I think it was 2020 when they rested their starters. That game doesn't count. But every other game has come down to a field goal, a touchdown, very close games every single time. That is not the case anymore. I'm going to go ahead and say that. This game has not made me nervous at all, Trevor. I know everybody's been worried about, oh, man, Justin Herbert always plays well against the Chiefs, guys. Oh, man, the Chargers always seem to find a way to make these games ugly and muddy. The only way that's the case this week is if the Chiefs decide to go, hey, let's go ahead and copy and paste the game we had against the Broncos. Let's put it in this one. Let's go ahead and copy that one. That's the only way this game is close. The Chargers are a better team than the Broncos, but it's not by a massive margin. It really isn't, because I don't know if you guys know this. The Chargers have the worst passing defense in the NFL. They don't get to the quarterback a bunch. I know Khalil Mack had a 6-sack game outside of that.
He's had a great season.
I think he has 1.5 sacks outside of that this season. He had one great game.
One great game, but he's been consistently
he's been
pressuring.
fine.
He's been good.
Fine. The point, though, is Joey Bosa is having a down year. Derwin James is having a down year.
Healthy.
Their defense is having a down year right now. I think they're 22nd or 23rd in overall defense.
They've been a sieve, man.
They're not good. And I know, guys, we can sit here and talk about, well, the Broncos weren't good. They're historically bad. And I'm not giving the Chiefs an excuse in that one. But I do believe because of the juice they got with adding 𝚂𝙿𝙾𝙺𝙀 back, Charles Omenihu, who's back on the defensive side of things, Frank Clark's on his way back. There's a lot of feeling good that the Chiefs are going to have going into this game. I think they're going to come into this game feeling loose, feeling confident. Now, I know that can be a scary thing because I know a lot of times when the Chiefs come into games confident, especially home games, they tend to slip up a little bit. But because of the fact that the Chargers are a really clunky team altogether, Justin Herbert, who has never seemed to take that next step, and I've been telling you guys, he's not an elite quarterback. He's an elite talent at quarterback. There's a difference. And I don't know if you knew this stat, Trevor, but in Justin Herbert's career since 2020, he leads all quarterbacks in fourth quarter interceptions by 5.
Damn.
He has 13 fourth quarter interceptions. This man is not clutch. He's great talent. I love watching this man play football. But when it comes down to the big moments, being precise in big moments, he doesn't have that. And I know people say, Lance, don't put the eggs before don't put the cart before the horse. Don't hatch your eggs yet. Guys, nothing I can say or do changes the outcome of this game or how it goes. I can sit here and tell you about how incredible Harrison Butker has been. He's 14 of 14. That isn't jinxing him. Harrison Butker is going to kick field goals the way he kicks field goals because of the way he kicks field goals, not because of what Lance the Spoken said. That has nothing to do with anything. What I'm saying is this, guys. The Chiefs are coming to this game as the significantly better team. The only difference between the last several games and this year's games against the Chargers is the fact the Chiefs' defense is as good as it has ever been. You saw against a good, not great Cowboys defense at this time. I'd say the Cowboys are probably Trevor, the 10th, 11th best defense right now in the league because they've had injuries, they've had some inconsistencies. They're a fringe top 10 defense. Good defense.
I'd say they're top 8 at least.
Let's say they're an above average good defense, right? Okay. The Chargers could not consistently move the ball against that defense. They kept missing on. They could not execute. There were several times where it looked like they were lost offensively.
Yeah.
This is an elite defense they're now going up against in their house. A Chiefs defense that's giving up 13 points per game. Why am I supposed to sit here and think that a Chargers offense is going to come in here and drop 27, 28 points against this defense? I don't believe it, Trevor, because we've seen. I don't
believe anyone at this point. Maybe the Dolphins is about it.
I don't know if you saw the stat I posted last night. So, against Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, and Kirk Cousins this year, the Chiefs defense held them to a combined 60 completion percentage, 251 passing yards per game, 6 yards per attempt, 3 passing touchdowns total. They sacked them 8 times and gave up an 85 quarterback rating. One of those games, they didn't have Chris Jones or Charles Omenihu. Mm-hmm. Another game, they didn't have Charles Omenihu. And the other game, they didn't have Nick Bolton or Charles Omenihu. Guess who's all playing against the Chargers this week? Charles Omenihu, Nick Bolton, and Chris Jones.
All damn.
All dams.
All dams.
And they him. They all him. Okay, a bunch of hymns out
there.
They
hymns.
Yeah, it's like a hymnal. You know what I mean? Like, it's amazing what we got going out there on the defense.
It's like an ad for hymns.
Yeah. The Chiefs should just have that little patch. Hymns.
4 hymns.
Yeah, 4 hymns. So, the Chargers are catching the Chiefs at the worst time. Am I sitting here and say the Chiefs are going to score 35, 40 points? No, because we've already addressed the fact that we have some serious offensive woes here in Kansas City. But it's this defense that we have to continue to give respect to, guys. The Chiefs just blew out the Broncos, and the Chiefs didn't score 20 points. The Chiefs covered a 10.5-point spread by scoring 19 points. They should have shut out the Broncos. If it wasn't for that bullshit, Mike Edwards body sack, whatever they call that on Russell Wilson, They don't score a touchdown. The Broncos lose that game 19-0. This defense is special. I know, guys, historically, they've been close nail-biter games. This is not going to be a nail-biter. The Chiefs' defense is going to stop this Chargers offense. They're not going to score a bunch of points in this game. In fact, Trevor, I'll say this. They won't score more than 17 in this game. I don't believe the Chargers are scoring a lot of points in this game. And because of the fact that the Chiefs got, in my opinion, the missing piece that they needed in their jet sweeps, gimmicky stuff on offense, I think the Chiefs are going to have a good red zone day. I'm not sitting here saying the Chiefs are going to score 30. In fact, I don't think they're going to. But they're going to score north of 20. They're going to win this game by more than 5 points because the Chiefs are the better team. They have the better defense, better coaching staff, better quarterback. And I know that's the same situation going into that Broncos game. But I think the Chiefs, and this is a knock, this is not praise, walked into that game arrogantly thinking, oh, guys, come on, it's the Broncos. Remember we talked about, Trevor, the disrespect that people think about, like, oh, these guys don't want to come in here and win games. I think that's true. The Chiefs want to take every game seriously, but when you know that you can walk into that game, score 19 points, and blow that team out, sometimes you're not as up for that game. We've heard Travis Kelce himself say, I wait for the postseason. I get bored sometimes in the regular season. I think that is true. This is a game, though, the Chiefs don't take lightly because they do know that the Chargers are the one team in their division that have actually given them fits.
Yep.
So I think they're going to come into this game focused. They've had 3 extra days to rest and prepare. Andy Reid with a little bit extra time to prepare for this horrific passing defense. I think Patrick Mahomes is going to go off, dude. I think he's going to have north of 300 yards again. I think he's going to have multiple touchdowns in this game. I don't think the Chargers have really any answer on the defensive side to slowing the Chiefs down at all because their only real strength on defense is being able to get to the quarterback. And like I said, they've been limited at that against this awesome offensive line. I don't think this game is close, man. I think the Chiefs win this game by over a touchdown. I really do. And I know I'm kind of coming in hot with this one, but I've been so frustrated seeing how many people are afraid of this matchup. I'm not afraid of this matchup. I'm not afraid of the Chargers. I think the Chiefs beat them at all levels, man. I think they're the best team at every single level.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't see why you would be afraid of this matchup. That doesn't make any sense. I mean, we literally just need to win this game, and it's a wrap for this division.
Yes.
I mean, I know there's pressure, but I mean, if any team in this NFL is going to thrive off pressure, we know who it is. The team that's won 2 Super Bowls out of the last 3 seasons, right? So let's not get it confused here. But yeah, I mean, this matchup is going to be. I think it's going to be one of those games. I mean, typically, I don't know what it is, man, but this game always comes down to the wire between these two teams. No matter how good or bad one on the side is, this goes back forever. Right, these Chiefs-Chargers games are almost always interesting. First of all, we very rarely, even with Patrick Mahomes and this new generation of players, and we just don't blow a lot of teams out. I mean, the Bears game, yeah, I think that was kind of just like we weren't even trying to blow them out. We just happened to because guys were just so open downfield, and the points were just pouring in. But we just don't. I don't know what it is, man. We don't blow teams out. And I think this game will be competitive throughout. I think what could happen is the Chiefs jump up early. Go up double digits early, but this defense is so good. It's hard. It's hard to get a grasp on the vibe of how we think these games are going to go because I keep waiting for this offensive onslaught, and it's just not happening yet because it doesn't have to.
Yeah.
And that's a privilege, obviously, to have that to where Patrick doesn't have to go out there and throw for 350 and 4. Like he's had to for a lot of games just to get wins. He doesn't have to do that. So now I'm extremely stoked for this defense too. With the men who finally getting on the field, this week, so that's going to be a fun thing to watch. But I think the most we score is like 30, which obviously will be enough with this defense doing what it's been doing. And let's not forget, man, that Justin Herbert is hurt still. He's got that broken finger on his left hand. He's been having to run a lot more, which is not good and not ideal for him. I mean, he takes a couple more big hits. Man, who knows? This guy has been fragile through his career so far, if we're being honest. Yeah. Let's be a little more honest than because the guy has been fragile. He's taken some hits and had some fractured ribs and things and so forth. So he's not exempt from injury. And we got some guys that are going to be getting after him all game long. I do think this will be a competitive game, and it's probably going to be uncomfortable for a couple quarters. Maybe 3 quarters, like it typically is a lot of times in these games with Chiefs fans, but it's going to be a Chiefs win. I'm very comfortable with the fact that, with the idea that we're going to win this game. How we exploit them on their defense, it can be in so many different ways. I mean, they haven't been good against the run. They haven't been good. They've been awful against the pass. Travis Kelce's probably going to eat. Derwin James, I know, tends to match up with Kelce pretty well. But how long is that going to hold up? Right. I mean, even in the big hits and the big plays that he's made on Travis Kelce was still eating in those games. You know what I mean? So it's not like Travis Kelce ain't going to get his. He's going to get his most likely. And to me, this feels like a Jerick McKinnon game. I don't know why. It's been rumbling in my tummy for the last couple of days. Like, man, it just feels like a multi-touchdown Jerick McKinnon game. This is, week 7, middle of the year. This is one of those games where Jerick just goes nuclear. You know what I mean? So it feels like one of those games. And obviously, man, this could be a game where MVS finally gets off the schneid too, man. Finally gets maybe a big play or a touchdown downfield, because that secondary is awful, dude. If he gets a one-on-one MVS, I know MVS is not the guy. He's just out there running wind sprints. I get it, but he is a guy that has top-notch speed, and if he goes out there and gets a one-on-one, I can see us taking a couple shots downfield and maybe MVS finally having a game here. This is the situation to do it. McColl, all the distractions about McColl. So if McColl goes out there and he's doing some pre-snap motion stuff, that defense is gonna be like shit. They're gonna be paying attention to that. So this could be an opportunity for any one of these guys in this offense to pop, because this defense is trash. And I do expect it. I think Pat will have a good game. I think this is a game where Pat's gonna get up for. He knows that this is the game basically where we can put this division away early in the year, and just focus on the rest of the season, get this division wrapped up basically, because we know that that's basically the case if we win this one. So, and stay atop the AFC as well, which is incredible already at the way this season's going. I'm expecting a competitive game though. I think we win by no more than a touchdown. I think we should cover 5.5 though.
I will say
we should cover 5.5.
The biggest reason why I'm so confident in this game, whether I have the Chiefs winning this game comfortably. I know that sounds arrogant, like I'm saying they're going to win by 17, 20 points.
We don't have a lot of those, man.
Yeah. I do agree, though, Trevor, that I think the Chiefs will establish an early lead, and then it will tend to be a little bit closer than it actually was. It'll look closer than it actually was, is what I'm saying. Like, I think the Chiefs will win this game like 7, 8 points, but like it never really felt like the Chiefs were going to lose this game. It's kind of like the Broncos game.
Could be some garbage time points from the Chargers.
Yeah, it's something like that, or the Chiefs just stop scoring in the second half like they've been doing all damn season, it seems. But the biggest reason why, and it's such a false narrative, is people are saying, well, the Chargers are coming into this game, guys, with, all this pressure and desperation because, this is their season right here, because if they go down 2-5, their season's pretty much done. Well, here's the thing, guys. The Chiefs have a lot to play for in this game.
Yeah.
Think about it. The Dolphins have a big game against the Eagles, right? Right after the Chiefs game, correct? Sunday Night Football. The Dolphins and Chiefs have the same record right now. Maybe the Eagles beat the Dolphins. Or maybe they don't. Mm-hmm. And the Dolphins go in there and beat them in Philly. And you're talking about
I'm picking the Dolphins.
There's one team that gets home field.
Yeah.
And we know that the Dolphins right now have the best offense in football almost at an historic rate.
Yeah, absolutely.
The Chiefs know they have to keep pace with this team literally and figuratively. You can't afford to drop a divisional game. You can't afford to go into this game sleepwalking and hope that Justin Herbert doesn't get hot and hit Austin Eckler and Keenan Allen, who's having a career year. You can't expect that's not going to work, because this Chargers team has beaten the Chiefs in the past.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the Chiefs are going to come in this game, in my opinion, just as focused. And we know against quarterbacks at Justin Herbert's tier, they've played incredible.
Yeah.
They kept Kirk Cousins honest. They shut down Trevor Lawrence. And without Chris Jones and Charles Omenihu, they kept Jared Goff to 14 points.
Who's been great this year.
Who's been insane. He might be the MVP right now instead of like Tua Tagovailoa.
That team is good. That's really good.
Right. So that's my point, Trevor. I think the Chiefs are coming into this game with a much different mentality than what they've had in some of these other games where they felt like they could just kind of sleepwalk through them.
Well, and of course, the Chiefs are going to get up, and Andy Reid tends to always have something for that ass in these divisional games, right? And I think that's why I think this game's going to be tough and a hard fought game, because they always are. They almost always are. And the difference between that Broncos game, the Broncos game, which frustrated me the most, was the turnover. Having turnovers in the red zone is unacceptable. We can talk about settling for field goals and pulling out ugly wins against divisional foes, fine. But the turnovers we can't have turnovers in this game. Especially in the red zone. That red zone pick by Pat in that game against the Broncos was just, we can't have that. We're already struggling enough to score touchdowns. We can't be throwing the ball to the opposite team, the opposition in the red zone. So if we clean that up, I think this is a game, a coast type of win. If we score touchdowns and our defense just goes out there and does what we do, and now adding another dog to the mix with Omenihu, I think it's a nightmare matchup for that offense. Who's already down Mike Williams was a bigger loss than people want to give give credit to, as far as what he did for that offense, stretching the field and so forth. Keenan Allen's been on a tear this year, career start to his career, or this season so far for him in his career. And And then Austin Eckler is obviously the X factor, a guy we need to worry about the most, because when he gets off is when that offense really gets going. So if we keep him under wraps, which our defense has been incredible. I mean, you've seen Travis Etienne just running over everybody, including the Saints, 2 tutties, and was running all over the Saints.
Shut him down.
We shut his ass down. One of the best running backs in the league, a guy who has the best. Him and Kenneth Walker have the 2 biggest play upside out of all running backs so far this year, as far as like big chunk plays.
Eckler's over under and betting was 47.5 rushing yards. I did not take the 47.
Yeah, not the rushing, but I mean he's the guy that will just carve you up in the passing game. So we got to be careful with him.
I don't know if you saw that Justin Herbert leads the NFL outside of Tom Brady over the last 4 years in dump off screens to to running backs.
I mean, why wouldn't you?
Right.
It's a smart play. Getting Eckler involved, he's an elite player. So. Guys like him and Saquon are so good in the passing game. You have to get them involved. So I get that. But yeah, I think this defense is such a terrible matchup for what they did. I mean, we thought I'm of the mind that our defense is better than the Cowboys. So
yes,
especially our secondary. The defensive front is pretty close. They got a lot of dogs, and like that Cowboys defensive line, I'll give them credit, man. Lawrence and those boys, and Micah Parsons.
The Chargers to 17 without Trevon Diggs and Van Der Esch.
Yep. No doubt, man.
2 guys at different levels, man. Like linebacker and cornerback, and they held them to 17 points.
Yeah, so I'm with you on this, man. I think this defense could definitely keep them under 20, 15, 17 points. If that's the case, the Chiefs don't lose games like that.
And I saw this one dumb narrative, and we're going to get to our 2 key players, and we're going to get to you guys and speaking. But I heard this really stupid narrative yesterday. Somebody was suggesting that maybe it'd be a good thing if the Chiefs dropped this game because of the fact that it would keep Brandon Staley employed. Okay, guys. First of all,
we don't play. That's Galaxy brain ignorance.
Besides the obviousness of
overthinking shit.
Yeah. I just explained how losing games in the AFC right now is just you can't do it because, like I said, the Dolphins are a 1-loss team right now, and they could beat the Eagles this week. Guys. Do you not understand that if a coach is that close to being fired, where it's like, oh, look, if they lose this game, he's fired, that means he's on his way out anyway.
Well, if say they manage to get a win against the Chiefs and they still miss the playoffs, he's probably going to lose his job regardless.
Right.
If they don't make the playoffs this year, I think he's gone.
Well, let's take it a step further. We thought he was gone after last season.
Right.
They gave up a 27-0 lead in the playoffs.
Right. If that wasn't enough,
he still survived. So who's to say if they lose this game,
a Week 7 win against the Chiefs ain't going to?
Shit, Spanos might still keep his ass. So you can't base your results on the other team. You have to look at it as what benefits you. Who gives a shit about Brandon Staley and his coaching status? Guys, it doesn't matter who they get next year. They can go get Jim Harbaugh. I'm still taking Andy Reid over him, and I love Jim Harbaugh. I think he'd be a dangerous coach to come here in Kansas City. If they get Ben Johnson from the Lions next year, that'd be dangerous. You know who the Chiefs have? The best coach in football. So as long as Andy Reid's in place, I'm always going to give the Chiefs the competitive
Sean
advantage.
Payton's in this division. Has a fuck him at it at all. You know what I mean?
In fact, the Broncos are worse. So that's the point, guys, that you can't sit here. This is what I'm sick of. Like, everybody thinks I'm the doom and gloom guy, but I'm sitting here trying to remind y'all that when it comes to the overall big picture of things, the Chiefs still got this shit. You can't be living in fear of the Chargers, who have literally proven dick. Justin Herbert has not accomplished a goddamn thing in his career. This is his fourth season as a starter in the NFL. He's done nothing. Yes, he's put up some really good numbers here and there. You know who else did that? Phillip Rivers. And y'all love crushing him.
Yep.
Y'all love shitting on that guy. He put up historic numbers. One of the 5-10 best statistical quarterbacks in the history of this league.
An Iron Man, too. Dude never missed games.
And Justin Herbert's sitting here doing the same thing, and you guys are sitting here going, oh, fuck, I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm scared. Guys, I don't know. Like, what do you not know? Yes, these games have been close in the past 4 or 5 years. You know what the Chiefs have done? Won almost all of them. This is why I was telling Trevor in the past, I don't view this as a rivalry because the Chargers are not in the way of the Chiefs. They don't contend with the Chiefs. The Chiefs are winning this division every year and winning Super Bowls. The Chargers are squeaking into the playoffs and losing in historic fashion whenever they even get there.
They cannot keep guys healthy for whatever reason it is. I don't know. Their bodies just drop over there. I do not understand. This team
seriously. They have to give me reason. Guys, when the Bengals beat the Chiefs in the playoffs, guess what I did? I started taking them seriously because they beat the Chiefs in a big window, a big opportunity. They beat the Chiefs. Mm-hmm. That's why you take the Bengals seriously, guys. The Chargers aren't at that level. So until they prove that, I'm not going to sit here and go, God damn it, I don't know, man. This is scary. No, and there's nothing that scares me about this team. That includes Justin Herbert. He does not scare me. He's really good at football. He's fun to watch. Doesn't scare me. And this matchup doesn't scare me. Trevor, who are your two key players of this game?
Well, I'm going to go with the guy that I alluded to that I got a vibe for right now, and that's Jerick McKinnon. Offensively, I think Jerick McKinnon. This just feels like one of those games, and it's hard to gauge on when that's going to come.
Right, it'll be there though.
This just feels like one of those games, man, where maybe the Chargers are selling out to stop our run game because Pacheco's been eating and he's been doing really well, and that opens up the offense for us. But this feels like a game where some plays break down and a quick screen or a quick screenplay to Jerick McKinnon just sets up some downfield blocking for him to eat. And this is the team to do it against. I mean, they don't have good open field tacklers. They don't have speed on that defense. That defense has been just getting eaten up by screen plays and downfield shots. So this definitely feels like a get-right game possibly for MVS. I'm going to say that too as a bonus. But I think this feels like a McKinnon game. I know Pacheco is going to do what he does. He's going to get his 10 to 15 carries. He's been getting his catches as well. But this feels like it only takes 2-3 plays for McKinnon to have an entire day's worth of production. So this feels like a game where we know we need touchdowns. We know we got to get some points. We know we need to put up and change the stats as far as our red zone trips, and a guy that has a nose for the end zone, along with bringing another guy back recently like McColl that knows how to find the end zone as well. But this feels like a game where we got to stop fucking around and get some touchdowns, and McKinnon's one of those guys that can rack them up quick. So I'm going with McKinnon on the offensive side. Defensive side, I've been calling for it. I'm going to call for it again. I need a McDuffie interception. This just feels like a good moment, and when things get tight and Herbert, they're trying to do that fast-paced, 2-minute offense or that fast-paced offense to kind of keep the defense on our toes. Herbert makes a lot of mistakes in those kind of offenses. For some reason, they still keep pushing him out there to do that, but I think he slips up and throws another pick here later in the game, and I think McDuffie finally gets his.
Well, I know that Travis Kelce's an obvious answer, but I'm going to say Travis Kelce on the offensive side because of the fact you're seeing him catch rhythm.
And I will say, and somebody was saying, I think it was John in the chat was saying that Derwin James didn't practice on Friday. So if that's the case, if he's out, I
think he's still going to try.
He's probably going to play,
but I did hear that.
But he's out, dude.
Thank you, John, for bringing that up.
Yeah,
I didn't mention that. I failed to mention that. But yeah, Derwin did not practice on Friday.
Massive.
What I will say though is even when Derwin's been healthy, Travis is still 8.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys knew about this, but so if his career against the Chargers, he's incredible. In his last 8 in his last 8 games against the Chargers, he's had at least 90 yards. And in 3 of his last 4 games against the Chargers, he's had at least 100 yards. He's also scored 5 touchdowns in his last 3 games against the Chargers.
Yep.
In other words,
some of his biggest historical plays are against them, dude.
Travis is going to destroy this defense this week. I'm expecting. I'm not kidding, Trevor. I think he's going to have 8 to 10 catches for 150 to 130 yards and at least 1 touchdown.
He just did that last week. He didn't get the tutty.
Hammer. If you guys are betting on this game, and Trevor's going to do that again on this week with go to our Facebook page on the
Spoken parlay.
We'll have a spoken parlay. I'm telling you guys right now, whatever his
receptions
average,
and yards.
Yeah, whatever it is, hit the higher, hit the up, hit the.
Let me see what that is.
I think it's 72.5. Take it, please, for God's sakes, take it.
Yeah.
I think anytime touchdown, it's like I think he's at a 0.5 touchdown, a half touchdown.
He's always one of the. His odds are always the best.
I already hit mine. I'm just going to tell you guys full disclosure. I already took the higher on 72.5 on Travis Kelce. I think he has 8+ receptions. I think he has 100+ yards. I think he gets a touchdown in this game. So yes, Travis Kelce's my offensive player. I don't want to sound like I'm copying out here on the defensive side of things, Trevor, but I'll say this because I 100% agree with something you just said. I think that Austin Eckler could have a big-time game in the receiving game. I think that Austin Eckler could have 80+ receiving yards in this game. But it's going to come down to, because what do we know, Trevor, about this Chargers team? They love to go for it on 4th downs, right? So what the Chiefs have to do in defense this week is make sure that 3rd downs are 3rd and very long. You got to keep them at 3rd and 8, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, 3rd and 12. Do not let them get the 3rd and 3, and if they fail, you know they're going to go for it on 4th down. It's 4th and 9, they're not going for it.
Yeah.
Even Brand Staley won't be that stupid. So make sure on 3rd downs, where's that going to start, Trevor? On the dump-off screens. That's why Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, Willie Gay, Leo Chenal, all the linebackers are the key player on the defensive side of things. I don't want to be a cop out here, but I feel like it's going to be a collective this week. Willie Gay on the outside on those little dump-off screens, got to be able to make the open field tackles. Little inside passes, where Austin runs up the middle on the play action and they just dump it over the middle. You got to get Nick Bolton and Drew Tranquill to finish up those plays because Austin Eckler's a very tough man to tackle.
He's a tough guy to bring down.
So these linebackers are going to be what – I know the secondary is great, I think Keenan Allen's going to get shut down in this game. I really do.
I'm not worried about him. It's the secondary receivers that always eat against us.
I think it's McDuffie, and I think
Joshua Palmer.
Steed and McDuffie are going to shut his ass down.
Yeah.
What I will say, though, is that I think this game's going to be – I think Austin Eckler is going to be the real hope for the Chargers offense in this game. I put an over on his receiving yards. I think it's like 33.5.
By the way, Travis Kelce's over under for receiving yards is 73.5.
Oh, they moved up a yard. I got it at 72.5.
That's good.
So yeah, I got
that. I'd hammer the over on
Tuesday
that
or Wednesday
as well.
when they first dropped it. But yes, guys, I think Austin Eckler is going to be the one you have to watch. I think Justin Herbert's going to target him probably 8 to 10 times this game because he's going to be a reliable guy. He's back in the offense, getting his rhythm back. He had a decent, not a great game against the Cowboys, a decent game against the Cowboys. He usually plays great against the Chiefs, but this ain't your daddy's Chiefs, baby. This is a real defense the Chiefs got here, and I think you're gonna see in this game why they are who they are. So I have the Chiefs. We're going to give you guys our scores tomorrow before the game kicks off. I think the Chiefs win this game by a touchdown or more. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I don't think the Chiefs are going to win this game by 14, 17, 20. But I think there's a better chance that happens than this game being a 3-point game or the Chargers win. I really believe the Chiefs are going to really establish some shit in this game. I know they didn't play well against the Broncos offensively, but I'm telling you guys right now, the Chargers have a different level of respect for the Chiefs than the Broncos do because the Chiefs have absolutely owned the Broncos now for 5, 6, 7 years. That's not going to change. The Chargers are a team that really have given the Chiefs some fits and some close games. The Chiefs are going to come in here and execute on both sides of the ball. I'm with Trevor. I don't think the Chiefs are going to score 30 in this one. I just don't think that's where their offense is right now.
Yeah.
I think they eventually will get there to the point where they can start scoring around 30 on a comfortable basis because we know that you're not going to keep Patrick Mahomes in this offense down all season long. We saw it took 7-8 weeks in 2021 for that offense to really start kicking into gear. And once they did, they never looked back. I think this offense will find itself. I still think this is a week, though, where they start to still build upon that. It's building blocks. Rashee Rice, I think he's going to have another 50 receiving yard game. I think you're going to see some of these other younger guys hopefully get some. I have no faith in MVS. Dude's literally averaging 6 yards per game.
I'm just saying, if there's a get-right game, this is, I know he should have had a get-right game against the Bears.
Yeah.
That would have made a lot of sense. Yeah. But that was, Justin Watson was still on the team, or still active at that time, so that took some away from him. So this is a moment, I think, like the deep stretch kind of guy has a chance to catch the big plays here. So.
I will say that I'll make a prediction. McCole Hardman does score a touchdown in this game.
Oof.
I'm going to say that right now.
I love that, though. If you're betting, man, put some money on that. I might put some money on him.
Yeah, I think McCole Hardman scores a touchdown in this game because I think that's an Andy Reid way.
Yeah, and we got to get the ratio. We got to get the ratio right in the red zone.
Yeah.
That's why I like McKinnon this week because we know if you get McKinnon the ball and things are tight, he's probably going to find a way to get in the end zone.
Yep.
He always does.
Yep.
So
I think that there's going to be a funky play they use McCole Hardman in, like a little shovel pass, like a no-look shovel pass. And he just
a jet sweep, and maybe we can do it right.
I think you're going to see Andy Reid dial up one for McCole. And it's going to be a feel-good story. We're going to be talking about it all week.
How incredible would it be?
First game back.
How cool would it be if he returned a touchdown from a punt return?
I didn't specify, did I? I said I think he's going to score a touchdown.
That would be so dope, dude.
I didn't say he's going to get a catch one or, I think he's going a touchdown somehow, some way in this game.
He's going to get 6.
He's going to get, he's got reservation for 6th.
Damn.
And so it's going to happen.
He's hungry.
So, that's where we're at. We need to get to our people, Trev, because they've been waiting patiently. I know that's been starting to fill up in the chat. Let's get to speak. Man, because I'm sure you guys have plenty of thoughts and questions about this game coming up.
Yeah, so we're getting blowed up here. Let me get to the top. Okay, let's see. Our guy Brian Parrott off the top rope. Let's see. How many sacks does this new group tally against Herbert in this loaded offense?
Say that one more time.
How many sacks does this new group tally against Herbert in this loaded offense? Loaded offense is strong.
I would agree. That's a little not hyperbolic.
Their offense has not been that good this year.
I will say this. I was going to make this prediction. I'm glad you guys brought this up. It's like the chat reads my mind sometimes, and I'm a mind that I don't even read myself a couple times here and there. I will say I think the Chiefs have at least 2 sacks in this game. I don't think people understand how deep the Chiefs now are at the defense interior presence on the outside as well. Defensive end, defensive line, defensive tackles. You got to think, man. Chris Jones, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, FAU. I mean, they are absolutely loaded. Now, Charles Omenihu was arguably the biggest signing the Chiefs had this offseason outside of Jawan Taylor. Monetarily, no, he wasn't. I think he only got like, $12, $15 million.
He's about to make his presence known, let me tell you right now.
I'm telling you guys right now, there's a reason why they comfortably walked off Frank Clark and went and got this kid. 25 years old, absolute specimen. I know he only had, 4.5 sacks last season, but guys, you have to remember, he had Nick Bosa on the other side of him. A lot of times you're not going to get the sacks when Nick Bosa's on the other side because he's just that great. So I'm telling you right now, with Chris Jones now in place, this might actually make it easier for Chris Jones, where he's getting even more sacks. It might outdo what he's already done this season when he's on pace for, 18 sacks this season? Either way, Charles Omenihu, Mike Dana, George Karlaftis, FAU, the rotation they're going to have at edge is going to be insane. And then you have Chris Jones in the middle. I hope you guys are right. I'm saying at least 2 sacks in this game.
Yeah, I think 2 is a good number. 2.5. If I'm betting on that, I think, people think this offensive line has held up pretty well for the injuries that they've sustained. I will
only been sacked 10 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So their offensive line has actually been overachieving in my mind.
Yeah.
But that stops now, I think. I think this defensive line, and granted, I feel like the Cowboys should definitely have had more sacks. I think they only had 1 sack the last game against it came in the perfect time. Micah Parsons put it on him. My God, when they needed it the most. That guy's unreal. So, but I think with the dogs we got on this defensive line, I think we have more overall depth and talent in our defensive line, even more than the Cowboys. And that might sound bold. They might have bigger names, but Chris Jones and then Omenihu coming back. I mean, I think I think the speed of Omenihu is going to really pop off the screen. I think you guys we saw it in the preseason. I know it's preseason, but that guy is gifted. So I can't wait to see how Spags utilizes that guy. He's a perfect Spags addition. So I think George Karlaftis has looked great the last couple of weeks too. He looks like he's really kind of coming on. He looks quicker too to me.
Leads the team in pressures.
Yeah, he is just eating on his side of the line. So I love what I'm seeing out of this entire defensive front. Chenal is always a guy that you expect to get in there, get in the mix and finish some plays, maybe get a half a sack. He's fast enough. If Herbert tries to run, Chenal will chase his ass down and get him. So the dogs in this defensive line are going to get after him. So I think 2.5 sacks sounds about right, man. Let's see. Brian Parrott. Will Coach Dunn come see me and Mama at... what is this guy talking about, man? Brian Parrott, these questions aren't even football questions, buddy. Let's see. Here's a football question from Brian. Do you expect Ross to take significant snaps this week, or do you all think Hardman gets them?
For whatever reason, Justin Ross is not getting meaningful snaps in games. I think that there's probably a lot to do with the learning the playbook. I think that he's still learning that. And I told you guys, and I'll tell you guys again, I think that there is a certain level of stubbornness when it comes to Andy Reid and how he is loyal to guys that he invests a lot into. I think he's still trying to make sense of the contract of MVS. He's been an absolute killer of this offense, and he's making the most money by far in that wide receiver room. That's why he continues to get snaps, because they're convinced that they can still make sense of that contract. That at this point, you look back, it's a terrible contract, even though it's really only a 2-year deal. They invested in draft capital in Rashee Rice, Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney. These are guys that they've invested in for the future and for now. And Justin Ross, as skilled as he is and as much as fans love him, he was an undrafted free agent. The Chiefs, he cost them nothing. Yep. So there's not as much of an investment in him. That is why I believe that you're still seeing him being a slow starter out the gate. I don't believe that's going to be the case, though, by the end of the season, because I think the Chiefs are eventually, because you're already seeing it, like you just mentioned with Mecole Hardman. They brought him back. There's a reason why. It's because they have trust issues with the guys they're still putting above Justin Ross. But there's going to come a point in this season, and I'm calling it now. And this is coming from a guy that was a previous doubter of Justin Ross, who is now full tilt believer that this guy can be something in this offense. I don't know what that something is, but I do believe there's going to come a point in this season where Justin Ross is going to make a big play, give it an opportunity, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs are going to have to realize, okay, it's now time to start switching gears, because MVS, you can't go 12, 13, 14 games in the season, and he's got 215 yards, and you're still putting him out there for 45 to 65 snaps. It's stupid. So you got to start playing the guys that are going to be actually effective. Could Justin Ross be that guy? We got to let him get a chance, man, for Christ's sake, because it's not like the running back, or it's not like the defensive side of things where you have to find snaps because there's so many good players.
Right.
No, this wide receiver room is wide freaking open. So Justin Ross needs to get his chance. I don't think it's this week, but I do think it's coming at some point.
Yeah, I just don't understand with all the red zone woes and why we're not giving our Justin Ross a chance to have a jump ball in the back of the end zone. I don't understand why we're not doing it. If I'm playing Madden, I mean, that's a formation I'm drawing up real quick. I mean, get my 6'4", 6'5" almost guy out there to a corner deep in the back of the end zone, just throw the ball up to him. He's high point it where only he can get it. It only makes sense to me. He's an athletic freak. But I mean, I wouldn't expect him to get, as far as what we've seen so far in the trends, I mean, he's not getting much work at all. So, I mean, I don't understand why he's not in red zone packages. It would only make sense to me. But for whatever reason, the coaching staff knows more than we do and has more information, sees him on a daily basis at practices. So maybe they're seeing something that we just don't know about, they don't have the trust. Who knows, man? But yeah, I just don't. I have no hope in Justin Ross. I got to see it first. Yeah. I got to see him on the field consistently first to have any kind of expectation. So, and now McCole being here, McCole's definitely going to be taking snaps away at the wide receiver position for sure. Let's see, Shaggy Shane. He just wants to let us know I am at work right now and can't listen until later. You both are kicking ass. Are you surprised that not very many people are talking about the season that Harrison Butker is putting together?
Well, first of all, thank you, Shags. We appreciate you, man. I hope you have a good day at work. What I will say, though, is I think that what I addressed earlier about people are afraid. It's kind of like a pitcher when he's having a no-hitter.
Yeah.
The team doesn't talk to him. They don't come by and dap him up. They leave him alone. They let him focus. It's a superstitious thing. I think a lot of fans are looking at it that way because Harrison Butker is having by far his best season, and he's been a great kicker to this point of his career. He's literally on a Hall of Fame trajectory, guys.
No doubt, especially in the postseason.
The second highest field goal percentage in NFL history behind Justin Tucker, I think by 0.4%. So he's essentially the best kicker in the history of the NFL, tied up with Justin Tucker. I think it's a superstitious thing. I don't think people want to talk about it too much, but here at the Spoken Podcast, we don't give a shit about superstitions. We don't give a shit about jinxes. I believe Harrison Butker is great regardless of what I say. The man is kicking literally kicking ass. 14 of 14 this year. He's been absolutely absurd, been the best kicker in the league this season. I think he keeps that going because he just hit his stride. He's only 28 years old. He's 6'4", 195, 200 pounds, big dude. I think he's gonna continue to kick the ball the way he is. He's been a guy that's put a lot of big games on ice, like Trevor said. We saw multiple times just in the last postseason alone against the Bengals. Needed a big kick for him to win in overtime. What happened? Yeah. Did it. Against the Eagles, did it. This man is nails, and I would not want another kick. I'm being serious. I would rather have him than Justin Tucker right now in this game.
Of course, because he's been in the big games and has put big games on his back and iced games in the biggest of moments. Justin Tucker's never had to do that yet. I mean, granted, it's not his fault because his team hasn't gotten him in those positions.
We don't know if he can do it.
But we don't know, and Harrison has definitely tried and tested and is true to what he can do. I mean, the dude just hit his 60-plus yarder. Could have hit it from 70. Right. Like, that was insane against the wind. Like, dude, what? That's just – he's the best in the league right now. It's not even a question to me right now. So, Brian Parrott, I think he's referring to the wide receiver discussion, who we would bring over. He says, Sutton was my choice because I'm looking for a rock-solid number 2, not a big name or a 1,000-yard guy. Who do y'all like? I think we kind of discussed that, but – I don't know if you want to throw more into that as far as who you like. I think we all know who you like when you bring in.
It's like I said, it's tough to say right now because we don't know who's actually going to be available yet because teams have to still win and lose games these next 2 weeks.
Yeah. And
I know this next week's going to give us a little bit more of a clearer picture, but I will say this now. I don't think there's any chance that a Raider or a Bronco join this roster. The Raiders and Broncos are not going to help the Chiefs. I know Davante Adams on this roster would be insane.
There's been rumblings about that. But
it's not happening. It's not happening. The Raiders are not going to help. Can you give the Chiefs Davante Adams for Christ's sake? Like, it's not happening.
After they're paying him all that money too, like
right. And quite frankly, it's not even realistic cap wise because I don't think the Chiefs will be able to fit his contract under their books right now. John Harrison might be able to correct me on that, but I'm telling you guys right now that the Broncos are not giving the Chiefs Courtland Sutton. Not that he's some game breaker. But it's only doing a favor. You think Sean Payton is going to do Andy Reid a solid like that? Because you're not going to get a first round pick out of him. Yeah. So you're not going to trade him for anything of real value, and you're only going to help the Chiefs. So why would you do that? It's not happening. I like Courtland Sutton, but I don't love him. I think there's going to be better options than him out there. But I promise you guys, Brian, everybody else that's asking these questions, stay tuned within the next 7 to 10 days because Trevor and I will be giving you a list of realistic options that we do think will happen. I still believe it's going to happen. I do think the Chiefs are going to add at least one more piece to their wide receiver room. Trevor doesn't at this time. That's really cool. I get it from a realistic standpoint. It doesn't seem likely, but it also didn't seem likely McCole Hardman was going to come back to Kansas City, and what do we know now? So, the Broncos and Jets essentially paid Frank Clark and McCole Hardman just to come back to Kansas City. Who would have saw that coming? That's what I'm saying. Unpredictable things happen all the time. The NFL is an unpredictable league. I think the Chiefs are going to add another piece.
Speaking of McCole Hardman, we got a comment from our guy Jay Brickman on YouTube. Shout out Jay. I think McCole can exceed expectations and be a late bloomer. His short stint being away from the team that drafted him hopefully had him self-evaluate and elevate to the next level.
100% agree. I don't think. Look, I will put this out there right now. I don't believe McCole Hardman's ever going to be a wide receiver 1.
No.
Do I think he has a chance to be a solid wide receiver 2? Yep. He's got more than enough capability to be a wide receiver 2 in this league. Will he be a high-end wide receiver 2? Probably not. But when you have the speed and the the ability to get open the way he does with his feet, that automatically is an advantage that other guys just don't have. The problem Mecole has had in his career is being able to run the routes precise. But those are teachable things. Mecole has never been a guy that's like, oh, he just doesn't have the talent. Mecole clearly has the talent. It's always been there. It's about getting down the route concepts. If he studies those route concepts in a more diligent way, I'm not saying he doesn't study, but I'm saying it's clearly shown on tape he didn't know the route tree. If he learns that at 25 years old, I agree with our guy Jay Brickman. I think he can absolutely become something of a solid piece for this offense or wherever he plays for the rest of his career. This is his second chance.
Yeah.
We got to think about that, man. Like, he was literally just thrown on the bench with New York. A humbling experience. Had a horrific injury he just suffered with the Chiefs right in his contract
After winning
year.
2 Super Bowls, you're riding the bench.
And played a role in both Super Bowls, by the way, I might add.
That's rough.
He helped beat the Bengals this last season.
Yeah.
He was on a big third down.
Oh, no doubt.
Patrick Mahomes trusted him on that throw, and Patrick's running to his left, puts an absolute dime on him, puts it right in his bosoms, and he absolutely catches the ball, and he's done for the season, done for the rest of the postseason.
Yep.
This is his second chance to show what he can be in this league. I am so excited. I'm not sitting here saying, like I said, he's going to become a 1,000-yard receiver and 8 touchdowns. But you know what wouldn't shock me, Trevor? Is if for the rest of the season, Mecole Hardman outperforms all these other receivers outside of Rashee Rice. Would it shock you if Mecole Hardman ends the season with more yards than Sky Moore? It wouldn't shock me. Would it shock you if he has more touchdowns than Kadarius Toney? It wouldn't shock me. I think he's going to have more yards and touchdowns than both of those guys because I believe in Mecole Hardman's ability in this offense.
I agree. Feezy on YouTube just wanted to chime in and say, "Damn, that 3-hour time difference gets me at least. At least I caught this show live this week. Well, thanks for tuning in, man. Appreciate you. Rick Mountainjoy on Facebook says no on Hopkins. So there's that. I don't know why you wouldn't want Hopkins. I mean, I would definitely take him. It's just what are we giving up to get him was only my argument. I would absolutely kill to have that guy in this offense.
And real quick, just to that point, it's the same thing with Mecole. I know obviously D-Hop and Mecole are much different players, but it comes down to what is this team doing for us? Mm-hmm. If this wide receiver room really was what everybody thought they'd be, I would not be sitting here entertaining D-Hop. I wouldn't be even sitting here saying, guys, that I'm glad the Chiefs went and got Mecole because those wouldn't be needs.
Yeah, you need reliability though. That's a guy you can rely on.
Yeah, we guys, we have to be honest here. Whether you believed in this wide receiver room or not, or still believe in them or not, you have to be truthful with what we're seeing with our eyes. This is why I'm just gonna put it out there. This is why I called out Pete Sweeney from Arrowhead Pride a couple weeks ago because he went on radio and said that the problems that fans think they have with wide receivers, this wide receiver room is being overblown. That is insulting the intelligence of what we're watching. You're telling me that what I'm seeing on this field isn't the truth. That's a problem with me because I'm a fan, you're a fan, and we're not stupid. We're watching the same games, and we're seeing a wide receiver room that was hyped up all offseason, not performing at a high level, not even at a decent level. So you have to be truthful with what you're seeing, and what we're seeing is a wide receiver room that needs significant help, both in talent and production. So if you could get a DeAndre Hopkins for a mid or late round pick, you have to do it because it helps this team now. This is why I said, Trevor, getting Chris Jones back in the building. Because although, you could trade him and get a pick or two off of him, right? That doesn't help this team. And what matters more, Trevor, the 2024 or 2025 Chiefs or the 2023 Chiefs? It's clearly the 2023 Chiefs. So worry about this season right now. The beautiful thing for the Chiefs is they have a roster right now comprised of young players on their rookie deals. So you're not spending a lot of money really anywhere outside of a few key places. So this team is built for now and built for later. So taking some risks here and there is something that actually should happen because the Chiefs have built themselves the ability to do so. They've given Brett Veach has given himself some leeway of saying, hey, if I want to trade a first-round pick for Kyle Pitts, I can do it. If I want to trade a third-round pick for DeAndre Hopkins, I can do it because this roster is so damn young and proven at the same time. How many teams right now, Trevor, you say in the league right now, have a roster as young as the Chiefs and as proven as the Chiefs?
There is none.
Exactly. The Chiefs are in a unique situation. So if you want to take a risk, Brett Veach, by all means freaking do it. So if you can get a D-Hop, you can get a Kyle Pitts, a Mike Evans, or anybody like Chris Godwin, if you can get Terry McLaurin, go freaking do it. Make this team as good as possible.
DJ Moore.
So you can go get you can get your best chance of winning another Super Bowl, because that's what matters, right, guys? Is making a dynasty. Dynasty moves like that happen all the time, guys. Look at those. We always love to compare ourselves to the Patriots here, right? Look at how many acquisitions the Patriots made, trades, free agency. Because what was something Belichick ironically wasn't good at, Trevor? Getting wide receivers. That's why he traded for Randy Moss. That's why he went and got some of these other guys to add to the equation from other teams. That's how you have to do it, guys. You have to sprinkle in it every once in a while. Take some risk. You may not want to see it happen, but sometimes it's necessary.
Omar on YouTube, he says a third for a veteran 1,000-yard wide receiver is fair.
Omar's got the common sense.
Brian Parrott, if we take in Frank, can we afford a wide receiver move without cutting MV ass?
Thank you for using my nickname. I know I get crushed, but I don't care. Yes, plenty, because Frank Clark's not going to require a lot of money. He's going to get a veteran minimum deal here in Kansas City. I know that might be a little bit of the hang-up. I know that was why he didn't end up back in Kansas City, because he still wanted to make some money here. But the Broncos just did that. They gave him like $5-6 million in that contract. They just did a buyout with him. I think they got $3.5-4 million.
Yeah, chump change.
Yeah, Chiefs are not going to pay him any money, so that's not going to be a deterrent at all. There will be players that get moved around, that get cut. That happens. That's how it goes. But if you can upgrade, spend a little bit more money, that is something you absolutely have to do.
John Harrison says McGinnis has 16 sacks. B. Smith is second with 14.5, and then Clark has 13.5. So, man, if we can get him in there and get that record this season, that'd be incredible, bro. That'd be a priceless moment. So, I mean, money wouldn't even matter for him this season if he can get that and then go on the Chiefs Ring of Honor.
Patrick Mahomes is going to own all the postseason records. Travis Kelce's going to own all the postseason records, and if he doesn't already, outside of Jerry Rice, and then Frank Clark can own the sack record. Think about how insane that'd be. That not only just three Chiefs, but played together. Like, that would be insane, man.
Yeah. Jay Brickman on YouTube. I'd much rather have McLaurin. He brings speed and playmaking skills. D-Hop is not as impactful in my opinion. Listen, I'd rather have McLaurin too if I'm making a future move for like a long-term deal. But I'm not going to downplay the fact that and the playmaking ability of DeAndre Hopkins. That guy has been one of the best playmakers of his generation. So definitely wouldn't mind having either one of those guys. But if I'm making a pick between the two of them, I'd rather have McLaurin for sure. Just with the age and the guy that we could be here for a handful of years rather than 1 or 2 year rental. Let's see. John Harrison. Chargers have a DT, CB, Gilman, FS, free safety all out on defense, and Derwin James didn't practice Friday. A not good defense beat up, and they have guys beat up on their interior on the O-line too. All the more to start licking our chops, man.
Opportunities.
Let's see. Brian Parrott, what's up with the lousy open field tackling? Why can't we shed or avoid blocks?
Just wanted to throw this out here real quick before I answer that question. Despite playing with a much worse passing offense, DeAndre Hopkins has more yards than Terry McLaurin this season. Just want to throw that out there on fewer receptions. What was the question from our guy?
Wait, what was that again?
Okay. DeAndre Hopkins, despite having 4 fewer receptions this year and a much worse passing offense than Terry McLaurin has, because Sam Howell's actually been pretty good this year throwing the ball.
Yeah.
He has more yards than Terry McLaurin.
He's literally the only receiver in Tennessee, so congratulations. He's literally the only receiver.
What's up with the lousy open field tackling? Why could we? I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not going to criticize this defense one iota.
Our open field tackling has been incredible this year.
This defense does not have a single weakness. Especially now that they've gotten the play. Nick Bolton's back now. Adds to the depth with him and Drew Tranquill in the middle, Leo Chenal, those guys up in the middle, and Charles Minhu now in the defensive line. I'm not, until this defense gives me reason to criticize them, I'm not going to. You guys know me. I will not hesitate to criticize. If I see something that I find is a problem, trust me when I say I do not hold back. This defense has given me zero reason to criticize them this year. I understand open field tackles at times can look a little worrisome. Guys, they're giving up 13 points per game. I know I'm sounding like I'm oversimplifying this whole thing. It's results business. And when this defense is giving up less than 2 touchdowns a game on average, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt every single time. I don't think there is an open field tackle problem. I think they've had some injuries.
In comparison to the last couple seasons, hell no. The open field tackling improved dramatically.
Right. I mean, I know you remember, brother, when they had Wilson and Hitchens in the middle of the defense.
Right.
How there was a gaping hole in the middle of this defense every single damn week. I will take this defense and their quote-unquote weaknesses or lack thereof every single day of the week over the last 6-7 defenses the Chiefs have had. The last great defense the Chiefs had was in 2016. That was 2 years before Patrick Mahomes took over.
Yep.
This defense is just as good, if not better, than that 2016 defense.
This is going to side rail a little bit, or derail a little bit, I should say. James T. Kirk on YouTube. Dylan Dennis embarrassed himself and all combat sports last week versus Logan Paul. Would you give him another chance?
I don't give a shit. It's a good question because I think that this is something that involves a lot of money. Yeah. I personally could not give two fucks when it comes to these two guys. I understand what the Paul brothers do. They bring a ton of money and a ton of attention to boxing. That's awesome. But these are still sideshows. Dylan Dennis did not take that fight seriously. He tried to DDT Logan Paul at the end of that fight.
It was a great build-up to that fight, man. He was doing...
It was a joke.
I mean, I ain't gonna lie, though. Dylan Dennis, man, people... I mean, I know he's a troll and he does what he does, but the dude was posting, like, pornographic pictures of Logan's girl, bro. I feel how I feel about Logan and that whole... I mean, the whole industry is... It's just a... It's annoying as hell. I don't get into that world, but, like, that's crossing the line, bro. Yep. I mean, you're putting it on Twitter, like, you know, nip slips and all these things of his girl, bro. That's next level. Like, he should have gotten his ass beat for that, and he did. So I'm glad Logan won for what it's worth.
I try to give guys like that as little attention as possible because of the fact that I feel that I'm only empowering what they're doing, and I don't support what Dylan Dennis was doing anyway, so that's why you don't hear me ever talk about it or tweet about it, because it just, to me, it's such a I'm not interested, basically.
You're just getting all the clicks in the eyeballs, man.
Yeah,
they know what they're doing.
You're not getting it from me, man.
Yeah.
So I respect the question. I'm just saying, I can't get myself to care enough.
I did not watch.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
Jake Paul is a little more entertaining. I think he's actually a legitimate good fighter. James T. Kirk on YouTube. James Harden is a malcontent, so why won't Philadelphia trade him to Orlando or another bottom-dwelling team?
Because, what's his name? Their GM, Philadelphia's GM.
Oh
my God.
Oh, man.
I can't believe I'm not...
Put me on the spot.
Maury.
Yeah.
Because he's asking for too much. I don't know if you guys saw the rumored trade request from the Clippers that he had for the Clippers. Was it 2 first rounds and Terrence Mann? You're not getting that for James Harden now. James Harden is still a very effective starting point guard in this league. Can still score 20 a game. Can still get you 10 to 12 assists a game. Horrendous defender. Is not a team guy. Is not a leader whatsoever. So his bad now outweighs the good. Because back, when he was 25, 26, 27 years old, you can get away with it because the dude was dropping 34 a game, almost averaging a triple-double. So you can get away with him being a shitty leader, a shitty teammate, a shitty guy in a lot of ways. Not anymore. Dude's 34 years old, is nowhere near the athlete he once was, nowhere near the scorer he once was, and is just as bad, if not even that much more worse of a defender. So you're not getting multiple firsts and a good, solid rotational piece out of James Harden. I do believe he's going to have to get traded from the Sixers because he's not even showing up to the team. So they're going to have really no choice. He's going to play hardball. This is what he did with the Rockets.
I heard he was at practice.
Oh, did he finally show up?
I think he did show up at practice.
He did show up, so maybe I'm wrong. But the Nets, he did the same thing with him, got all fat.
Yeah.
Remember that? And he forced his way out. This is who he is.
Yeah. The
dude's just a shit stick, man, and this is what he does. And it's ruined his legacy because our guy Nick Wright, I thought I was starting to agree with him. James was on the way to becoming the best player who's never won a ring.
Yeah.
He was on his way, and he just stopped caring, man. He has one of those egos, man, that just he can't get out of his own way and becomes his own problem, his own detriment to his own legacy. Because the guy's literally one of the greatest scorers I've ever seen. One of the most entertaining basketball players I've ever watched.
Yep.
And he's wasting the twilight of his career by being an idiot.
Yeah, I always respect a player and a person in general in life that can march to the beat of their own drum and kind of do things their way and stick to it. He's definitely stuck to it and stuck to his guns, but he's sabotaging his career, and that's it sucks. Honestly, it sucks watching a talent like that, just make poor personal decisions and just for PR reasons and for your. He's a mess, man. I don't really know what else to say. I don't know what's going on in his personal life to continue. I don't know who's in his ear, agent wise or influence wise, but I don't know. I'm kind of over the whole James Harden situation, man. And I hope Philly can compete because I love my guy Joel, and I kind of want him to get out of there at this point because it's kind of getting nasty over there. Who knows? They're lacking a lot of depth. And
I'm hearing the Knicks might land a juggernaut trade for him.
Oh, that'd be sick.
Yeah, I'm hearing the Knicks. Now, the Knicks aren't exactly a good franchise either.
Oh, but dude,
a change
that
of scenery could do him some good.
And that market would go nuts with Joel, bro.
God.
Joel in New York, woo.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Philly's a big market too, but New York's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
James T. Kirk. Finally, a football question, LOL. If McColl balls out this season, would Veach resign him, or is he just a stopgap solution?
No, I definitely think there's a chance he gets resigned in Kansas City. It's
Absolutely.
going to really determine how he plays this year. But I do think if he plays really well, I think there's a good chance that he could come back to Kansas City. The problem, though, is that he might actually have himself a market. He'll be 26 years old. If he stays healthy, helps the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. He's a 3-time Super Bowl champion. He might have a market this time around. Because, guys, what did we talk about before last offseason? That McColl was on his way of getting paid. His market, according to Spot Rack, was over $11 million a year. Got hurt, just completely depleted his market. And this is praise to McColl because of the fact that he didn't have to play in that Bengals game in the AFC Championship. He get arrested, got surgery.
He's a teamer.
Healed up, and got himself paid. What did he do? He went out there, still played, re-aggravated the injury, then had surgery, delayed all of that, helped his team win a Super Bowl, or get to the Super Bowl at least. They had to still go win it, but he helped them get there. This is why his market was depleted. This time around, if he stays healthy, guys, which outside of last season has been healthy, he didn't miss a game for his entire career. He does that again this year. There might be a team out there like the Giants or somebody like that that's like, hey, we'll give you a 4-year, $50 million deal. You know, because he's only 25 years old.
Yeah.
And that also, like I said, plays into the fact that the Chiefs might want to keep him.
Yeah.
If he goes out there and plays well, the Chiefs are like, look, you're 25, will be 26 next season. Let's give him a 3-year, $30 million deal. See if he signs that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a chance, but we got a long ways to go before we can really have that legitimate discussion.
And it does depend on how he plays.
Yeah,
it does depend
100%.
on what his production looks like this season. If he comes out here and he's trash, sorry, man. Like, nah, bro, you're probably not. You're going to have to go find something else. I mean, he's got skill. He knows this offense, and that's why this move was so seamless. But if he comes out here and gets hurt again or something like that, I don't wish that on him at all. But I mean, if that happens, I mean, it's gonna put a damper on his expectations moving forward in his career and what he's gonna be worth. So I do think he plays really well this season. I do think in the situations, situational football offensively, the skill set that he has in the understanding of the offense with him and the coaches and the trust he has with Pat already built in. That's huge for this offense, what we need right now, as far as especially in the red zone, getting some touchdowns. So I think if he can contribute to that, I would love to keep him around, man. Yep. Absolutely. So, good question. Jay Brickman on YouTube, do you want to see us draft the best tight end available this offseason or make a trade? I know you were on tight end.
I wanted the Chiefs to take a tight end in the second round.
Yeah.
I thought
there's a lot of good ones.
Laporta was there. I would love to have seen
Mayer
in this offense. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that
even Kincaid, man.
This next tight end group is supposed to be good too. So if the Chiefs don't ultimately get Kyle Pitts in a trade before the trade deadline, then yes, I'm going to probably be right back to where I was because guys, Travis Kelce's still great, but man, he's getting old. He is getting old, guys, and I would love to see. And we know the Chiefs have a history, as I said before the show, of being able to get and land a great tight end. It's generational. It's kind of like with the Packers and quarterbacks. They had 30 years of Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. The Chiefs have essentially had 25 years of Tony Gonzalez to Travis Kelce. So I would like to see that legacy continue. I think Patrick Mahomes likes throwing to tight ends, and I think that could continue. So, yes, if they don't get Kyle Pitts in a trade, I would like to see in the first couple of picks them going and getting a tight end and going and get a guy that they could build on for the next 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, Kyle Pitts is definitely the move for me.
Yes.
That's what I would want to see happen. I think he's due for a contract after the season.
After the season, yeah, he's eligible.
So I think I would be talking about paying somebody. I would pay him. I would go throw money at him.
Absolutely.
Let's see. So they were talking in the chat. They were talking about when Brian Perry was talking about cutting MVS possibly or moving on from him. John Harrison, the mathematician,
there he is,
came in to save the day. To answer the question earlier, doesn't help much to cut MVS this year. Only saves 2.5, 8.4 dead cap. Next year, $12 million saved, $2 million dead cap.
Oh, there's no way in hell MVS is on this team next season.
No,
but I would almost be willing to take a 7th round pick in a trade for MVS right now. Even though, like I said, the dead cap is still over $8 million, I could live with that. I could live with the dead cap of $8 million if it means we get an additional pick of MVS in Kansas City over what he's done right now.
We can get anybody to go out there run 9 routes, man.
He's literally not producing
a
single 6 yards a game over the last 3 games, guys. You see his over under right now for this game? 14 and a half.
It's disrespectful. He should be disrespected by that.
Disrespectful is what he's doing.
You know what? I want to say something too. The thing that pisses me off is not the lack of production by MVS. It's the lack of want. It's the lack of fire. It's the lack of drive. You don't see anything about it. Like, he's literally not getting targets. He's paid the most out of all receivers on this team. He's not getting the targets or even looked at in these games, and he's not on the sidelines trying to talk to Pat, trying to talk to Coach about getting involved and trying to. We don't see anything. We don't hear anything like that.
It's almost like he's happy. Like,
it's
he got paid. He got a ring.
It's frustrating because if I'm him, I'm putting myself in his shoes. I want the ball, bro. That's what I'm paid to do. I want to make plays. I don't see any like him, like, the AJ Brown situation, the squeaky wheel type of players.
I like seeing stuff like that.
Yes,
him and Jalen were having that talk. They got animated.
Pat's not. If Pat's not looking your way, get in Pat's ass and say, "Hey, bro, like, listen, man, I'm gonna get open right now. Throw me the ball."
You don't have to disrespect Pat.
That's confidence. No, yeah, but I mean, that's camaraderie, and that's locker room camaraderie, bro. Yeah. That's the thing that bugs me the most. Like, he can be a ghost out there all you want. That's fine. Whatever. Do your thing, bro. But, like, if you're not even wanting to do it, you're not even, like, wanting the ball, like, you're just leaning into that ghost mode. And that drives me nuts, man. Like, he doesn't even have the want to out there. And I want to see him do it, but, like, it's rough. Brian Parrott, are we going to play Mecole as a medium-range wide receiver or just a jet sweep specialist? That's yet to be seen, man.
I think he's going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
I think that I would be shocked if you see Mecole doing punt return work, which I fully expect, getting a jet sweep, and then getting a deep shot, because he's also going to be taking Justin Watson snaps. And we know that Justin Watson's that guy that takes the deep shots. I think that you're going to see him all over the field in this game. He's healthy. He knows the offense. He's ready to go. I'm not putting a cap on how they're going to use Mecole. I think it's going to be a lot of different ways. He's a very versatile player.
Yeah, I think that's it, man, for the questions, bro. So, yeah, man, appreciate you guys.
Awesome stuff, man. We appreciate you guys as always. Got some new names in there. The regulars still came out and showed out and did their thing. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We appreciate our guy John Harrison, the statistician, our capologist, if you will. Always, every single one of you guys, Brian Parrott, Jay Brickman, all you guys were great today. We couldn't thank you guys enough. Keep coming at us with those questions every single week and speak it. Keep the chat going, guys, in the comments. You guys can keep talking amongst yourselves. You don't need us to do that. And every single week, like I said, just, tell your friends, have them subscribe, have them hit the notification button so they don't ever miss an episode when we're live streaming, and get in those comments as well. We have one more order of business to get to. Trevor, what is it called?
Hold this L.
Each and every episode, we finish off every single episode with a series of L's in the world of sports. Whether those L's are friendly L's or not so friendly L's in the world of sports, we promise you, who is ever holding those L's deserve those L's in the world of sports. Trevor Tweedle, who's holding the L for you this week?
Well, I'm just going to go with the low-hanging fruit here, and I'm not the type to typically kick a man when he's down, but I'm going to go ahead and do it now. Pretty slow week as far as like L's in the world of sports as far as players go. But this one, man, we'd all just watched this game on Thursday night. The Saints-Jaguars actually was a pretty good game all the way around. It was a higher scoring game than I think a lot of us expected. There was a defensive touchdown in there, so that tends to boost the scores, obviously, when things like that happen. But there was a great drive late in the game by Derek Carr after there were some miscues between him and Chris Olave, who was quitting on a few routes. I don't know what the deal is on that, but it was the most animated I've seen Derek Carr maybe ever. And a lot of people are giving him crap for that, and I don't understand why. A lot of people are ripping him on Twitter or X about that, and about him, yelling at guys and I mean, that's what you want out of your quarterback, man. If I'm being honest, like, I mean, to a degree, obviously. And Derek Carr's never really been that guy. So if you're getting him to that level, those chances are the wide receivers are doing something wrong, right? He's a very level-headed guy, man of God. You know what I mean? So listen, he came out there after that dead route by Olave that ended that drive, and the Saints got the ball back. And after that, the very next drive, he went out there and was dealing it to Michael Thomas, a couple big plays, and they got down there, with the game tied, right in the red zone, third and goal. Perfectly drawn up play for Foster Moreau to go out there and take the lead in this game late in the game, and Foster Moreau was wide open in the back of the end zone. And Derek Carr puts it on the money, puts it right into his hands. Just literally one of the worst drops I've ever seen. I mean, you couldn't be more open. The ball couldn't have been right. The moment was too big for Foster Moreau, unfortunately. Hate to see that. You feel bad for him, but at the same time, this is your job. This is what you're paid to do. You practice this on a daily basis. You've been practicing this for over a decade now. You already have built-in chemistry with Derek Carr. You guys were teammates with the Raiders together. Love Foster Moreau, love his story, love his health battles and him beating cancer and so on and so forth. But this is rough, man. You're on the biggest stage, Thursday Night Football. The world's watching you. One of the most watched events every single week in the world. And you dropped your opportunity to make the biggest play of your career so far, and could have put this game away. I think the Saints are better than I think their record shows. They have a lot of talent on this team, and it's frustrating. Derek Carr out there playing through a possibly extremely pulled groin. He looked like he was in a lot of pain, and mustered up the wherewithal and the strength to drive his team down the field, set up that play, executed the throw properly, and you dropped it. That's rough. Yep. So for that, Foster Moreau, do me a solid favor, my guy, and hold this L.
We appreciate that. I am going to do something that's very unique, Trevor, that I think I've only done one other time on this show. I'm giving a prophetic L because it's not going to pay well for the person that did this because they made a prediction because you brought up the Saints and Jaguars game. And this is a guy that's been very much loved and adored by Chiefs fans, even though he actually has never worn a Chiefs jersey, but because of the fact that he helped the Chiefs get to the 2 seed in the 2019 playoffs by beating the Patriots in Week 17 while the Chiefs were beating the Chargers, ironically, because the Chiefs have the Chargers this week. Ryan Fitzpatrick is a part of the Thursday Night Football pre- and post-game show with Andrew Whitworth, Tony Gonzalez, Richard Sherman, and they were talking briefly about the Chiefs. And this was Ryan Fitzpatrick's statement, take, and prediction for the Chiefs moving forward.
I mean, after watching the Chiefs last week, I know they're 5-1, but I'm nervous, fellas. Yeah, I'm nervous. Their offense, something just feels different. I think, Tony, they're going to lose 3 of the next 4. Chargers, Miami, Philly. I'm just telling you, they're playing against teams that can score. It's going to be one step backwards for them the next few weeks. To take a few forward, it's going to be good for them in the end, but they're going to struggle in the next 4 weeks.
So I want to put this out here real quick. The reason why I'm giving Fitzpatrick this L is for a couple of reasons. One, he said that they're facing teams coming up that can score. Okay, Week 1, they faced the Lions, who were averaging right around 30 points per game this season. They gave up 14 points without Chris Jones and Charles Omenihu. Next week, they played Trevor Lawrence and the healthy Jaguars, who just put up 31 points against one of the best defenses in the league on the road with a hobbled Trevor Lawrence. They held them out of the end zone in Jacksonville in Chris Jones' first game back, again without Charles Omenihu. Russell Wilson and the Broncos were scoring a lot of points coming into that game a week ago against the Chiefs. Russell Wilson had the 4th highest quarterback rating in the NFL. Russell Wilson came into that game against the Chiefs with only 2 interceptions on the season, had 2 by the middle portion of the third quarter, and had a 44 quarterback rating for the game.
Arguably the worst game of his career.
Kirk Cousins and Justin Jefferson were unstoppable coming into that game against the Chiefs in Week 5. They put up 20 points. Kirk Cousins did not have a great game. Justin Jefferson was held to, 32 yards?
One of his worst games of his career.
By far the worst of the season.
Yeah.
And you're telling me this team's going to lose 3 of their next 4. Guys, listen, I have my problems with this wide receiver room. We've made that very clear and obvious here. This is the best team in the AFC. The Chiefs' problems are the problems I would take over any team in the NFL's. Because I like Brock Purdy, but I think he could be a weakness for that Niners team. And they have injury concerns. The Chiefs have the best problems in the NFL. It's wide receivers. They can overcome that. You're telling me right now they're going to lose 3 of their next 4 games against the Chargers, Broncos. They have the Dolphins in Berlin. They take a bye week and then face the Eagles on Monday Night Football in Kansas City. You're telling me they're losing 3 of those next 4 games? I am so confident that Ryan Fitzpatrick is wrong that if I am wrong, and by giving him this L, I will not do this show for an entire week. Trevor and I will take a week off, and then I'll do the next show naked. Dead serious. We'll take a week off, and the next week I will be dethroned. You will not see clothes on my body in that next week. And I will send this to Ryan Fitzpatrick. He probably will block me for it. I don't even know if he has social media.
Guys, we don't want that,
Doesn't
okay?
matter. You don't want that is what I'm basically saying. I am that confident that is some bullshit. Will the Chiefs lose another game this season? Yes. They'll probably lose another game.
You know why that prediction's happening, though. Because this defense is not getting the respect it's due yet.
Clearly.
Because he's talking about, they're going to be playing some teams that have scored, and you just went through the list of the offenses we've already played and the offenses that we've shut down. He mentioned nothing about the Chiefs' defense being great. That's just sometimes when you're an analyst and you're in it day in, day out, and you're not getting the bird's eye view as like a fan, and you're like seeing what's actually happening, This defense is elite.
Elite.
So I think that's
They
why
only
those
just got better.
ridiculous predictions happen, man.
They
'cause it's
only
just-
got better. They added Charles Omenihu.
right. This defense isn't getting the respect it's due. yet.
So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, this is a prophetic L for your ass. I like you a lot, man. You're entertaining, you're funny, and all that stuff, and you did help the Chiefs big time in
Smart.
2019. But you're going to have to do me a solid today and
Hold this L.
And
Absolutely.
we'll make sure and bring this up in about 4 weeks' time.
Oh, it's gonna
5
happen.
weeks because they have a bye week. But in about 5 weeks' time, we'll be revisiting this. And I have a good feeling, Trevor, we're not going to miss any episodes, and I won't have to be naked on the show unless, of course, you guys are asking for it.
I feel
Then we can
some
talk about
consistent,
that.
fully clothed episodes
Fully
coming
clothed
out.
episodes. It's going to happen. You guys don't want to see all this. I mean, you might, but it might get a little steamy. The camera might start steaming up a little bit. You don't want that. But you know what? Regardless of all that weird shit, this has been a fun show, and I hope you guys had a blast. We had a blast. Wasn't as long as some of our other episodes, but we still continue to pump out content as much as we can to get you guys into the discussion because that's what we're here for. We want to talk to you guys. We want to get to know y'all, and y'all get to know us. That's what this is all about. Can't speak for other shows, but we know there's a lot of other good shows out there. The fact you guys chose ours means the absolute world. Tell your friends about us. Hit subscribe, notification, and comment on YouTube. We would greatly appreciate it. There's been some serious growth. We had Kylie Winfrey on last week. She did a great job. She helped us out big time on that. Had a lot of her fans come over and watch our show as well. She was kind of like our Taylor Swift, man. She really helped us gain some more people that we wouldn't have known otherwise. But you guys are awesome every single week. We love you guys to death, and we will be definitely discussing more of these games coming up because I have a feeling, like I said, that the Chiefs aren't going to be dropping 3 or 4 anytime soon. So for that, for Trevor Twidwell, for the great Clay Windler who puts all this together, who has another bomb episode on Red Tribe Cinema, go check that out. It was an awesome video. I absolutely loved it. I'm probably going to watch it again before the day's up. I am Lance Twidwell, the Spoken Podcast. Episode 239 is done, finished, and finito. And until we're back here in 1 week's time to talk about the Chiefs not losing 3 or 4 games, we out of this bitch.
Later.